In life, there's one thing that can make all the difference between success and stagnation: the power of now. Every day we face countless opportunities to act, to move forward, and to create change. But the one thing that holds most people back is the simple habit of putting things off. We tell ourselves, "I'll do it later," or "I'll start tomorrow." But tomorrow never truly comes. The key to breaking free from this cycle of delay and uncertainty is understanding that the only time we truly have is now. The decisions you make today will shape your tomorrow. The actions you take in this moment will determine where you'll be in the next few months, years, or even decades. If you keep waiting for the right time, you're delaying your progress. Every minute you spend procrastinating is a minute lost, one that could have been used to build something meaningful, improve yourself, or take a step closer to your goals. In this audiobook, we're going to dive deep into why living in the now is so crucial for your success and how it can change your life. You'll learn how to stop waiting for perfect conditions and start taking action. We'll explore practical strategies for developing the discipline to tackle tasks immediately, stop making excuses, and avoid the trap of delay. You're not here to just watch. You're here because you're ready to make a real change, to stop leaving things for later, and to start living with intention. If you want to unlock your potential, get more done, and build a life you're proud of, stick around. The power of now is about to become your greatest tool for personal growth and long-term success. So let's dive in. Chapter 1. Wake up early and take full control today. There's something powerful about waking up early, not because it's trendy or romanticized, but because it gives you something that most people spend their lives chasing: control. When you wake up before the rest of the world, you give yourself the rare chance to move without noise, without distractions, without the chaos that usually steals your focus before the day even begins. You're not reacting to the day anymore. You're creating it. The truth is, if you don't control your day from the start, it will control you. And that loss of control doesn't just impact your time, it affects your energy, your mindset, and your sense of purpose. Most people wake up and immediately hand their attention over to something else: a phone, a social media feed, emails, notifications, problems they didn't ask for. From the very first minute, they're no longer driving their life. They're being pulled by it. Waking up early isn't about checking off a box or following some self-help cliché. It's about owning your time before it gets owned by something else. When you rise early, you meet the day on your terms. You decide what matters. You focus on what you want to build, who you want to become, and how you want to live. That simple shift, waking up with intention, can change everything. You don't need to become some extreme version of yourself overnight. You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. and run a marathon before sunrise. What matters is that you claim the first part of your day for you. Even 30 minutes of silence before the world demands your attention can radically improve your clarity, your mood, and your confidence. Because those first few moments of the day, how you spend them, what you do with them, set the tone for everything else. If you roll out of bed at the last possible second, rush through your morning, and immediately start reacting to whatever hits your screen first, you've already given your day away. You've let the world choose your priorities. You've started your day in survival mode, and it's hard to build anything strong from that place. Waking up early is an act of respect. Respect for your goals, for your time, and for your future self. Because when you take control of your mornings, you start to build something called momentum, and momentum, when protected and used well, can change the trajectory of your life. Think about it. How many times have you had a great morning and carried that energy through the rest of your day? How often does a focused start lead to better choices, better decisions, better outcomes? The answer is simple: often, almost always. But this isn't just about productivity, it's about discipline. It's about training yourself to do what needs to be done, even when it's easier not to. There will be mornings when your bed feels like a safe haven, when it whispers all the reasons why 5 more minutes won't hurt. But every time you ignore that voice and rise anyway, you strengthen your will. You remind yourself that you are in charge. That comfort is not your master. That excuses have no place in the life you're building. That's where self-respect begins, not in how you talk about your goals, but in how you act when no one is watching. Waking up early is a quiet promise you make to yourself. It's you saying, "I won't delay my life anymore." It's you deciding that your time is too valuable to be given away to laziness, procrastination, or distraction. And don't wait for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Some days it's there, most days it's not. What you need is a system, a plan, a non-negotiable routine. The alarm goes off, you get up. That's it. No negotiation, no thinking about it. You rise because you said you would. That kind of discipline carries over into everything else: your work, your fitness, your goals, your relationships. When you build a routine around waking up early, you train your mind to be consistent, to follow through, to stay grounded even when it's uncomfortable. It doesn't matter what your goals are, whether you want to get in shape, write a book, start a business, or just find more peace in your life. Waking up early gives you the time and space to make those things real, not later, not someday, but now. And that's what this chapter is about. Not waiting, not wishing, but doing. So what can you do with those early hours? Anything. That's the beauty of it. You can move your body and sweat out your stress. You can read and feed your mind. You can sit in silence and reconnect with your own thoughts before the world tries to influence them. You can plan, you can create, you can reflect. You can do the things you always say you don't have time for. Because now you do. You've taken time back. The excuses start to disappear. The pressure starts to fade, and in its place comes clarity, confidence, momentum. You stop chasing your goals like they're far away. You start living in a way that brings them closer every single day. And yes, it's hard at first. The bed will always be warm. The night will always feel short. But the reward isn't comfort. The reward is control, peace, direction. You start to lead your life instead of following it. You start to act with intention instead of reacting with anxiety. You also learn a deeper truth. The most valuable things in life often come with resistance. The early morning hours feel tough, not because they're wrong, but because they matter. Growth is always uncomfortable. Progress is always inconvenient. But it's worth it. Every time you rise early and use that time well, you are proving to yourself that you are capable of more. That your life matters enough to be lived on purpose. If you want real change, you have to be willing to make real choices. You have to be willing to say no to short-term ease in favor of long-term strength. That starts with how you wake up. That starts with the discipline of doing what's hard before it becomes urgent. That starts with saying, "I'm not leaving my life for later. I'm not putting off my growth. I'm not waiting for the perfect time. I'm starting now." So tomorrow, when the alarm goes off and the comfort calls, remember what you're really choosing. You're not just choosing sleep. You're choosing who leads your life, your will or your weakness. Choose your will, choose your power, choose your purpose. The day will meet you with whatever you bring to it. Bring strength, bring focus, bring discipline. There's no magic formula. There's no shortcut. There's only now. And if you're serious about changing your life, you must start by changing how you treat your mornings. Stop rushing. Stop delaying. Stop reacting. Take control. Rise early. Own the day before it owns you. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Waking up early won't fix everything overnight, but it will give you the space to fix the things that matter. It will give you the time to focus, to heal, to grow. It will give you a quiet edge, a hidden advantage that most people never access. And over time, those early mornings become a foundation, a solid ground you can stand on, no matter what life throws at you. You'll start to see things differently. You'll feel calmer, clearer, more in control. You'll stop drifting and start directing. You'll stop surviving and start building. One early morning at a time. This is your time. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, wake up early, rise with intention, and take full control today, because the life you want is built in the hours most people waste. Be the one who chooses discipline. Be the one who shows up. Be the one who decides that now is the only time that matters. And when you do, everything will start to shift, not all at once, but steadily, powerfully, unshakably. You will start to feel like the person you've always wanted to become, not because you talked about it, but because you acted on it, because you woke up and chose to lead, because you stopped leaving your life for later, because you finally understood the power of now. Chapter 2. Start your day with purpose and clear direction. When you wake up and begin your day with a clear purpose, everything changes. You don't just go through the motions anymore. You stop drifting. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter, and you begin to move with real intention. Living with purpose isn't something that only happens on special days or when big events show up. It's a daily decision. And that decision begins the moment you open your eyes. If you don't decide how your day is going to unfold, someone else will. Life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It rewards those who start with clarity and move with direction. There are people who wake up and immediately begin responding to everything. Their phone rings. They check messages. They scroll through updates, and they try to get a grip on the chaos. Then there are people who wake up, sit still for a moment, and ask themselves what actually matters. What needs to be done today that will move them forward? What kind of mindset do they need to carry through the day? Who do they need to be today? Not just what do they need to do. That shift is where all power begins. It's not a complicated change, but it's a deliberate one, and it's available to you every single morning. You are not just here to survive the day. You're here to shape it. And the only way to shape anything in life is by deciding where you're going before you start moving. You don't build a strong life by waking up and hoping it turns out well. You build it by waking up and giving the day a mission. Clarity beats motivation. Purpose beats routine. When you know exactly why you're doing what you're doing, it becomes easier to stay focused, even when it's difficult. Starting your day with purpose doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It means you have to be intentional. It means that instead of walking into the day blind and hoping things fall into place, you walk into it with your eyes wide open and your priorities set. You decide what matters most, and you don't let distractions rewrite that plan for you. Most people aren't struggling because they don't have time. They're struggling because they don't know what to do with it. They wake up without direction, and they let everything outside of them decide what they focus on. You have to understand something. The world is always trying to pull you in 100 directions. Everyone wants your attention. Everything seems urgent, but not everything deserves your energy. Purpose is how you filter out the noise. Direction is how you protect your peace. When you have both, you move through the day differently. You make decisions faster. You feel less overwhelmed. You don't waste hours bouncing between random tasks that don't serve your goals. You act, you adjust, you grow. And that process creates momentum. It all starts with a simple question. What is the purpose of today? Not tomorrow. Not next week. Just today. What are you building? What do you need to improve? What are you responsible for? What will make today feel like it mattered? When you wake up and start your day with that kind of clarity, you shift from being reactive to being proactive. You take ownership of your time, your effort, and your outcomes. But you have to be honest with yourself. Most people avoid purpose because it requires effort. It's easier to just drift. It's easier to blame distractions than to admit you haven't given yourself a direction. But that kind of life leads to regret. It leads to feeling busy but never fulfilled. If you want peace at the end of the day, you need purpose at the start of it. Peace doesn't come from escaping pressure. It comes from knowing you lived the day well. You don't need to plan your life 10 years in advance. Start with planning the next 10 hours. Decide who you want to be when you show up to your work, your goals, your relationships, and your challenges. Don't let the day decide that for you. You lead. You choose. Purpose isn't some big idea that floats above your head. It's the small, specific reason you have for doing what you're doing today. It's not about waiting for inspiration to hit. It's about deciding right now that your life deserves structure, that your time deserves respect. Set one clear goal each morning. Write it down. Make it the anchor of your day, and then build around it. Ask yourself, what actions will help me complete this goal? What distractions will try to pull me away from it? What mindset do I need to hold to stay focused? This process doesn't take long, but it changes how you use every hour after that. When you walk into your day with this kind of preparation, you stop getting lost in noise. You know why you're here. You know what to protect. You know what matters. Clarity isn't a personality trait. It's a practice. You create it by sitting down with yourself every day and deciding what you're committed to. You do this even when you feel tired, even when you feel lost, especially when you feel overwhelmed. The more chaotic life feels, the more valuable a clear purpose becomes. Without it, you'll chase things that look urgent but aren't important. You'll work hard but never feel accomplished. You'll fill your days with effort and end them feeling empty. Start small if you need to. Decide what your focus is for the first hour of your day. Remove the need to be perfect. You're not trying to build a flawless schedule. You're trying to move forward with clarity. You're trying to train your mind to begin each day with control. Once you master that, your confidence begins to grow. You stop questioning your value. You stop looking for motivation in temporary feelings. You create it by living on purpose. You can't afford to wait for the right mood to take action. Mood is unreliable, but purpose is strong. Purpose reminds you why you're doing what you're doing. It carries you through difficult days. It keeps you grounded when things feel uncertain. It's the reason behind your effort, and without it your energy fades fast. When you live without direction, life becomes exhausting. Everything feels like a task. But when you live with purpose, your work feels like progress. It's not about working harder. It's about working smarter, with direction, with focus, with meaning. That's what gives your days weight. That's what makes you feel like you're building something real. And that's what separates those who stay stuck from those who grow. The difference is not luck. It's not background. It's not talent. It's clarity. Those who start their days with purpose spend less time getting lost. They spend more time growing stronger. You don't have to figure out your entire life to find direction. Start with asking yourself what matters most today. Who do you need to be to make that happen? What decisions align with that identity? What distractions are pulling you away from it? Every answer gives you more power. Every answer makes your path clearer. Purpose isn't something you find once. It's something you choose every single day. You won't always feel motivated. That's okay. Purpose doesn't rely on feeling good. It relies on remembering what matters. There will be days when things go wrong, when nothing flows, when you feel like giving up. But if you start that day with a clear direction, you'll have something strong to hold on to. You'll remember that setbacks don't define you. How you respond does. And that response is much stronger when you begin your day with intention. This mindset creates discipline. It creates resilience. When you commit to starting your day with purpose, you're not just creating better mornings, you're building a better life. Because every good day is built on good hours. And every strong hour starts with a clear decision. I will lead today. I will decide what matters. I will not wait. I will move forward with purpose. Don't underestimate how much power you gain by starting your day right. That simple practice of choosing clarity changes everything. Your energy increases. Your decisions sharpen. Your stress decreases. You stop doing things just to stay busy and start doing things that build your future. You stop living in confusion and start living with direction. That kind of shift builds confidence. It makes you trust yourself more. And that trust is what keeps you consistent, even when motivation fades. Purpose isn't loud. It's quiet. It shows up in your choices. It shows up in your focus. It shows up in the way you treat your time. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to start the day by being honest with yourself. What matters today? What are you building? What will you not allow to steal your focus? Ask those questions, then act like your answers matter. Because they do. You're not just trying to have a better day. You're trying to become someone stronger, someone more focused, someone who doesn't wait for permission or clarity from outside. You create it every morning, with discipline, with action, with purpose. That's how you start winning, not with perfect routines or dramatic changes, but with a single honest decision each morning. I will start today with purpose. I will live this day on my terms. I will not drift. I will not waste this time. I will move forward clearly and deliberately. And I will keep doing it, one day at a time, until my life reflects the strength of that decision. That is how change begins. Not tomorrow, now. Chapter 3. Build small habits that move your life forward. Change does not happen through sudden transformations. It's not created in one grand gesture or overnight success. Real growth comes from the tiny decisions you make every single day. It's in the simple actions, the quiet choices, and the habits that build momentum over time. The people who move their life forward don't always have the loudest start, but they are the ones who stay consistent when no one is watching. And that consistency is built on small, deliberate habits. Every person who is living with discipline, purpose, and strength started by building a foundation of simple actions that they repeated until they became automatic. You don't need to do everything at once. You need to start doing one thing well. That one thing, when done daily, becomes a pattern. That pattern becomes a habit, and that habit starts to shape your identity. When your habits change, your life follows. The process is simple, but the discipline to stay with it is what separates those who grow from those who stay stuck. Your habits are not just routines, they are choices that shape your future. Every time you choose to act with discipline, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you decide to delay pleasure for progress, you strengthen your character. You cannot wish your way into a better life. You must work your way into it. And that work is done in the smallest actions. Getting out of bed without hitting snooze. Taking 10 minutes to write your goals. Drinking water before your coffee. Reading one page of a book that sharpens your thinking. These aren't massive steps, but they are the ones that quietly stack up into transformation. The reason small habits are powerful is because they remove resistance. You don't have to rely on motivation. You don't need to feel inspired. You just act. It's easier to stay consistent when the actions are simple and clear. You don't argue with yourself. You don't overthink. You just execute. And over time, the habit becomes stronger than your excuses. That's the goal, not to push yourself endlessly, but to create systems that carry you forward even when you feel low. You are already living by habits. The question is, are those habits moving you forward or pulling you back? If you want to know where your life is going, look at what you do repeatedly. If your days are filled with distractions, avoidance, and inconsistency, your life will reflect that. If your days are filled with clear actions, focused effort, and honest self-discipline, your life will mirror that too. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. Your potential means nothing if your actions don't align with it. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to change everything at once. They create massive goals, pile on pressure, and collapse under the weight of unrealistic expectations. Growth doesn't come from extremes. It comes from steady progress. The most successful people you admire aren't doing 1,000 things. They are doing a few things extremely well, every day. Start small. Start where you are. Choose one habit that aligns with your values and commit to it like your future depends on it. Because it does. Habits are not about intensity. They are about consistency. You don't need to run 5 miles today. You need to put on your shoes and take the first step. You don't need to meditate for an hour. You need to sit in silence for 5 minutes. You don't need to write a book in a week. You need to write 1 page today. The scale of the habit is not what matters. It's the commitment to keep showing up. That's what builds strength. That's what creates momentum. That's what reshapes who you are becoming. You cannot build a powerful life if your daily actions are weak. Your habits are a reflection of your standards. If you allow laziness, procrastination, and excuses to become normal, then mediocrity will follow. But if you set a higher standard, even in small things, you begin to attract discipline. You begin to demand more from yourself. And you begin to expect more from life. Raise your standards by raising your habits. Let your actions show that you take your life seriously. It's not just about what you do, it's about what you stop doing. You need to eliminate habits that drain your time and energy. Mindless scrolling, constant complaining, delaying decisions. These behaviors seem harmless, but they steal your progress. Every moment spent on habits that weaken you is a moment lost. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stop giving time to things that don't help you grow. Every habit you break is a weight lifted. Every good habit you build is a step forward. You need to understand the power of compounding. The effects of your habits may not show up today or tomorrow, but over time, the results become undeniable. If you build one good habit every month, you'll have 12 life-changing patterns by the end of the year. If you stay consistent with one small action every day, you'll build a level of discipline that most people never touch. Don't underestimate the power of steady progress. Small steps done daily are more powerful than big steps done occasionally. To build habits that last, you need a system. Start with clarity. Know exactly what you're trying to do. Vague goals lead to vague effort. Be specific. Instead of saying, "I want to be healthier," say, "I will walk for 20 minutes every morning." Instead of saying, "I want to read more," say, "I will read 10 pages before bed." Clear actions create clear progress. When your habits are easy to measure, it becomes easier to track your consistency. Make your habits easy to begin. If the barrier is too high, you'll resist. Set up your environment for success. Remove distractions. Place reminders where you can see them. Keep your tools ready. If you want to write, leave your notebook on the desk. If you want to stretch in the morning, lay out your mat the night before. Preparation creates momentum. The easier it is to start, the harder it is to make excuses. Reward your consistency. When you follow through, acknowledge it. Remind yourself that this is who you are becoming. Your identity shifts when your behavior aligns with your values. You begin to see yourself as someone who shows up, someone who keeps promises, someone who doesn't quit. That identity is powerful. It changes how you speak to yourself. It changes how you show up under pressure. And it gives you the confidence to take on bigger challenges. There will be days when you slip. That's part of the process. Don't let one missed habit turn into a downward spiral. Get back on track the next day. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about coming back stronger after every setback. The people who succeed are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who keep going after failure. You can't build strength without struggle. You can't build discipline without discomfort. Accept that some days will be hard, and show up anyway. Habits become stronger when you link them to a higher purpose. Don't just focus on what you're doing. Focus on why it matters. When your habits serve a deeper goal, they become more meaningful. You're not just waking up early. You're building discipline. You're not just eating clean. You're respecting your body. You're not just journaling. You're clearing your mind to think better. Purpose gives your habits weight. It turns routine into resilience. The fastest way to change your life is to change your daily patterns. Not through sudden breakthroughs, but through steady habits. Decide today which direction you want to move in. Choose one habit that reflects that direction. And begin. Don't wait for the right time. The right time is now. Don't wait for perfect motivation. Motivation comes after action, not before. Start with a small step and let your actions build the momentum you need. Look at the life you want and ask yourself, what kind of habits would that version of me have? Then start practicing those habits now. You don't need to be there yet, but you can live like the person you're becoming. Every small action is a piece of that identity, and the more you repeat it, the more natural it becomes. The strength of your future depends on the strength of your habits, and your habits depend on your willingness to act daily. You can read all the advice in the world, but nothing changes until you begin. You don't need perfect knowledge. You need real action. Right now, in small steps, with full intention. If you're serious about building a better life, build better habits. If you want more clarity, create habits that calm your mind. If you want more confidence, build habits that prove your discipline. If you want more energy, build habits that renew your body. Every area of your life can be upgraded when your habits are aligned with who you want to be. Start small, stay consistent, and never underestimate the power of what you do daily. Your future is built in your habits, and that future begins today. Chapter 4. Track your progress to stay focused and strong. Progress means nothing if you can't see it. You can work hard, show up every day, and try to become better, but if you don't measure your growth, you'll always feel like you're falling behind. Most people give up, not because they're incapable, but because they can't see how far they've already come. When your mind only sees what's missing, it forgets what's improving. This is why tracking your progress isn't just helpful, it's necessary. It keeps you grounded in truth. It gives you clarity. It shows you that your efforts are not wasted. And most importantly, it keeps you focused and strong through the ups and downs of your journey. You can't improve what you don't measure. If you want to take control of your life, start by being honest with where you are right now. That doesn't mean being harsh. It means being aware. If you avoid tracking your progress because you're afraid to face your results, you'll stay stuck in cycles of guessing, hoping, and doubting yourself. Progress demands truth. When you track what you do, you eliminate the guesswork. You stop lying to yourself. You get clear about what's working and what's not. That clarity alone can save you years of wasted energy. No one becomes disciplined by accident. No one grows stronger by chance. Every step forward is backed by awareness and intention. Progress is not an accident, it's a habit, and tracking is the tool that keeps that habit alive. Without it, your motivation fades, your direction blurs, and your mind starts to believe stories that aren't true. One day of struggle feels like failure. One week of effort feels like nothing. But when you have proof in front of you, when you see the steps you've taken, your mindset shifts. You stop reacting emotionally, and you start thinking logically. Tracking gives you power. It gives you control over your focus. It helps you make better decisions. It makes your improvement real. Because without tracking, your progress is invisible. And when progress is invisible, it's easy to feel like you're not getting anywhere. That feeling kills more dreams than failure ever will. But when you keep a record of your actions, your habits, your growth, you create a visual reminder that your work matters, that your time is not being wasted, that you are building something, even when it feels slow. People often say they want to grow, but they're not paying attention to how they're living. You can't just work hard. You need to evaluate. Every great performer, athlete, leader, and thinker reviews what they do. They study themselves. They analyze their days. They ask questions like, what helped me today? What distracted me? Where did I waste energy? They don't just hustle blindly. They reflect with purpose. That reflection gives them the ability to adjust, refine, and stay on course. You can't afford to keep repeating the same mistakes. When you track your progress, you learn faster, and you grow stronger. Tracking doesn't mean obsessing over perfection. It means staying accountable. It means caring enough about your growth to pay attention. You don't need fancy tools or complicated systems. You just need honesty. You can track your progress in a notebook, a journal, an app, or even a piece of paper. What matters is that you're keeping score, not to judge yourself, but to stay aligned. Because once you start measuring what matters, you start respecting your time more. You begin to protect your energy, and you start acting like your life is worth the effort you're putting in. Progress is not just about doing more, it's about doing better. And the only way to do better is to know what needs improving. When you track your habits, your goals, your decisions, you start to notice patterns. You'll begin to see which days you're at your best. You'll recognize what routines fuel you and which ones slow you down. That awareness is your edge. It gives you insight that others don't have. It helps you cut out the noise and double down on what actually moves you forward. Think about how you feel when you're drifting. When you go through a week with no structure, no feedback, no direction. You feel lost. Your focus is weak. Your confidence starts to fade. That's not because you're broken. It's because you're disconnected from your path. Tracking reconnects you. It reminds you why you started. It brings you back to the vision you had for yourself. It helps you see that every small effort matters, that every day counts, and that progress is happening, even if it's quiet. It's easy to get discouraged when results don't show up fast. But you don't control results. You control effort. Tracking helps you stay loyal to the effort, even when the outcome is delayed. It reminds you that just because something takes time doesn't mean it's not working. It shows you the truth, that success is often invisible in the beginning, that the work you're doing today might not show results for weeks or months. But when you track, you have proof that you're still in the game, that you're still doing the work, that you haven't quit on yourself. There is something powerful about looking back and seeing your own growth, seeing how far you've come, realizing that the version of you who once struggled to stay consistent is now disciplined and focused. That realization builds pride. It builds resilience. It gives you the mental strength to keep pushing. Because once you've seen your own progress, you no longer doubt if you can grow. You know you can. You've done it before. You can do it again. And you'll do it better this time. One of the best ways to stay consistent is to track your habits daily. Choose a few core habits that align with your goals and create a simple system to monitor them. You can use checkboxes, habit trackers, or just write a note at the end of each day. What matters is that you create a visual pattern that you can follow. When you see those habits stacking up, day after day, it builds momentum. It builds belief. And belief is what keeps you going when things get tough. Tracking also keeps you honest. Without it, it's easy to lie to yourself. It's easy to say you're trying when you're really just coasting. But when you have a record of your days, there's nowhere to hide. You can't fake consistency. You can't pretend to be disciplined. The data doesn't lie. That kind of honesty can be uncomfortable, but it's also freeing. It gives you the truth you need to grow. It removes the emotion from your excuses, and it puts you back in control of your own development. You're not just tracking for the sake of numbers. You're tracking because you care about your potential. You're tracking because you refuse to live below your standards. You're tracking because you've decided that your goals are too important to leave to chance. That mindset separates you. Most people drift. They wait. They wonder, but you're choosing to be aware, to be intentional, to be responsible for your path. That decision will take you further than talent ever could. When you track your progress, you also train your focus. You stop chasing everything, and you start choosing what matters. You become less reactive. You waste less time, and you start making decisions based on values, not emotions. That's how strong people live. They don't let moods control their direction. They let principles guide their actions, and those principles are reinforced through daily tracking. Every action becomes a statement. This is who I am. This is what I'm building. This is how I move forward. You don't need motivation every day. You need clarity. You need structure. And you need a system that reminds you of the path you've committed to. Tracking gives you that system. It keeps you focused when your mind wants to drift. It strengthens your commitment when distractions try to pull you away. And it shows you that your work is not in vain, that you are making progress, even if it's slow, even if it's quiet, even if no one else sees it. One day, you'll look back at the pages you filled, the habits you maintained, the streaks you built, the setbacks you overcame, and you'll realize that all of it mattered, that every box you checked, every habit you tracked, every effort you recorded. It all added up. It all built something. It built your confidence. It built your discipline. It built your mindset. And most of all, it built your future. So take your life seriously enough to track it. Respect your growth enough to measure it. And stay committed enough to review it. The more you pay attention, the more progress you'll create. Because what you track grows. What you focus on strengthens. And what you stay consistent with shapes your destiny. Your focus creates your future. Your strength is in your discipline, and your progress is in your ability to measure what matters, starting today. Chapter 5. Push yourself when your mind wants to quit. There comes a moment in every day when your mind tells you to stop, when it whispers that you've done enough, when it tries to protect you from discomfort by convincing you that pushing any harder isn't worth it. That voice isn't your enemy, but it is a challenge you must overcome if you want to become the strongest version of yourself. Because the truth is, growth lives just beyond that voice. The moment your mind wants to quit is the exact moment your body, your spirit, and your character need to rise. It's in that gap, between what feels comfortable and what you are capable of, where all progress is made. If you want to change your life, you have to learn to move forward when everything in you wants to shut down. Pushing yourself isn't about being reckless. It's about being responsible. It's about holding yourself to a higher standard when no one else is watching. The hardest battles aren't the ones you fight in public. They're the silent moments when you're alone, tired, unmotivated, and overwhelmed. And still, you choose to keep going. That's what defines your strength. That's what builds the grit that separates those who succeed from those who fold. You can't wait until you feel like it. You have to develop the mindset that does what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. Your mind is wired to seek comfort. It wants to keep you safe, even if that safety means staying stuck. So every time you try to stretch your limits, your brain will resist. It will invent excuses, distractions, and reasons to delay. But here's the truth: your potential doesn't live in your comfort zone. It lives in your willingness to step into discomfort again and again. The more you stretch yourself, the more that resistance fades. It doesn't disappear, but you get better at handling it. You begin to expect it. You learn that the voice telling you to stop is just a checkpoint, not a command. There is no perfect time to start, no ideal condition to feel ready. You build strength by acting when your mind is screaming for rest. Every time you override the impulse to quit, you're building something deep inside. You're developing mental discipline. You're learning to separate emotion from action. And that ability will follow you into every area of life: your work, your relationships, your goals. It will give you the edge that most people never develop because they listen to the voice that says not today. But you won't, because you understand that the mind lies. And your job is not to obey your thoughts, but to lead your life with intention. It's not about being fearless. It's about being willing to stay with the discomfort long enough to let it teach you something. Willing to feel the doubt, the fatigue, the frustration, and still continue. This is where self-respect is born, not in the results, but in the effort you give when it would have been easier to give up. Every person you admire has gone through this. Every champion, every master, every high achiever, they all pushed through moments of doubt, pain, and fatigue. What made them great wasn't talent. It was their refusal to quit when quitting felt easy. Your emotions are temporary. Your standards are not. If you live based on how you feel, you'll never build consistency. You'll always be on a roller coaster of highs and lows. But if you learn to act based on who you want to become, you'll start to lead yourself with power. That's the shift, moving from emotion-based choices to identity-based actions. When your mind says, "I don't want to," ask yourself, what would the disciplined version of me do right now? Then do that. That's how you break patterns. That's how you train the mind to serve you, not rule you. Pain is not your enemy. Avoiding pain is, because every time you avoid the challenge, you reinforce weakness. You tell your mind that quitting is an option, and over time, that becomes your default. But when you face discomfort head-on, when you stay with it and keep pushing, you teach yourself that you are stronger than your impulses. You prove to yourself that quitting is no longer your pattern, that you are here to grow, to evolve, to rise, and that growth becomes who you are, not just something you chase. When the mind wants to quit, slow down, but don't stop. Take a breath, collect yourself, remind yourself why you started. Then take the next step, no matter how small. Progress isn't always explosive. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and invisible, but it's still progress. And when you keep moving through the resistance, you create momentum. That momentum builds confidence, and that confidence fuels your next breakthrough. One step at a time, one choice at a time, one decision to push forward when quitting would have been easier. Your discipline is tested in the dark, not when everything is going well, but when it's not. When you're tired, when you're unmotivated, when no one is watching, that's when your true character is revealed. Anyone can push when they feel good. The real test is what you do when nothing feels right. Will you keep going? Will you show up anyway? Will you stay true to your goals, even when your mind is pulling you in another direction? That's where greatness is built, in the decision to continue when continuation feels impossible. Stop waiting for the perfect mood. Start creating the right mindset. You are not weak because your mind wants to quit. That urge is normal. What matters is what you do with it. Do you let it guide your actions, or do you face it, feel it, and keep going anyway? Every time you make the choice to move forward, you strengthen the muscle of discipline. And discipline is what builds resilience. Resilience is what keeps you in the game long after others have given up. And staying in the game is how you eventually win. Quitting feels good in the moment, but that feeling fades fast. What stays is regret. That quiet disappointment you feel when you know you could have pushed harder but didn't. That regret is avoidable, not by being perfect, but by being consistent, by choosing to act when it matters most. And it matters most when your mind says, "I can't." That's your signal. That's your moment. That's when you push, because you're not here to coast. You're here to grow. You're here to lead your life with strength. Every excuse you believe weakens your power. Every lie you tell yourself builds a wall between you and your goals. "I'm too tired. I'll do it later. I don't feel ready." These thoughts are normal, but they don't have to be your truth. You can hear them without following them. You can acknowledge them and still act with intention. The key is awareness. Learn to recognize the voice of resistance and respond with action, not arguments, not negotiation, just action. That's how you win. Your future self is watching. Every time you push through resistance, you're building a version of yourself that is unshakable. That version of you doesn't rely on hype. They don't wait for inspiration. They move with purpose. They act on values, not moods. That version of you is shaped by today's choices, by the effort you give when your current self wants to quit. Think about who you want to become and start acting like them now. Not someday, not when it's easy. Now, pressure is not something to avoid. It's something to embrace. Pressure reveals who you are. It shows you what you believe, what you're committed to, and how much you value your growth. When pressure comes, rise to meet it. Don't run. Don't shrink. Stand tall. Take the hit. Keep moving. That's how warriors are made. Not through comfort, but through challenge. Through choosing to act with strength when weakness feels like the easier option. Progress doesn't always feel good, but it always feels right in the end. You may feel exhausted, drained, or defeated in the moment, but when you look back, you'll feel proud. You'll remember the effort. You'll remember the decision to keep going, and that memory becomes fuel. It becomes part of your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who doesn't quit, someone who pushes through, someone who leads themselves with courage. So when your mind starts to talk you out of it, when it says not today, not now, maybe later, you respond with action. You do what needs to be done. You show up anyway, because that's how strong people live. That's how they build a life they can be proud of. One moment of resistance at a time, one act of discipline after another, until it becomes who you are. Not someone who hopes for results, someone who earns them, someone who pushes when it's hard, someone who wins their inner battles. You don't need to be extraordinary to do this. You just need to care enough. Care enough about your growth. Care enough about your purpose. Care enough about your potential to not let temporary emotions define your path. That care, that commitment, is what keeps you moving forward. It's what silences the noise and centers your focus. So stop waiting for ease. Start embracing effort. The more you push, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more your life begins to shift. And one day, you'll look back and realize that all the moments you pushed through were the very moments that built the life you were after. Chapter 6. Cut out distractions and protect your time daily. Distractions are the silent thieves of progress. They creep in unnoticed, stealing your time, draining your focus, and breaking your momentum before you even realize what's happening. One moment you're locked into your goals, committed to making the most of your day, and the next you've lost an hour, scrolling through nonsense, chasing notifications, or getting pulled into things that don't serve your future. If you don't cut out the noise and guard your time like it's sacred, you will never build the life you say you want. Your energy will be scattered, your attention fragmented, and your progress slow. You don't need more hours in the day. You need fewer distractions. Most people don't realize how much they're giving away. Every time you check your phone in the middle of a task, you're resetting your brain. Every time you let someone interrupt your flow, you're handing over control. Every time you switch from one thing to another, your focus takes a hit, and it adds up. At the end of the day, you feel exhausted but unproductive. You were busy, but you didn't move forward. You were active, but you weren't aligned. That's what distractions do. They steal your power without making a sound. And the worst part is, we often allow them in without resistance. We let them become normal. If you want to reclaim your time, you need to get honest about what's pulling you away from what matters. You need to stop pretending that you can multitask your way to success. You can't. Your brain is wired for deep, focused work. Not constant switching. Not divided attention. Every time you fragment your focus, you lower your ability to perform at a high level. And if you do that enough, it becomes a pattern. A pattern that keeps you average. A pattern that keeps you overwhelmed. a pattern that makes you feel like you're trying hard but getting nowhere. The first step is awareness. You have to see what's getting in your way. What are you allowing into your space that doesn't belong? What habits are killing your attention? Is it the endless checking of social media? Is it the addiction to notifications? Is it the constant urge to reply to every message the second it arrives? Those small behaviors are costing you far more than you realize. They're keeping you reactive. They're training your mind to seek stimulation instead of discipline, and over time that shapes the way you show up to everything. You have to build a structure that protects your focus. That means setting clear boundaries around your time. You don't answer every call. You don't reply to every message right away. You don't keep your phone next to you while you work. You create pockets of deep focus, and you guard them like your life depends on it, because your future does. When you eliminate distractions, what's left is your potential. What's left is a mind that can go deep, stay present, and create something meaningful. That's how real work gets done. Not in the cracks between distractions, but in the hours you protect for yourself. Cutting out distractions is not about being rigid or antisocial. It's about being intentional. It's about choosing what deserves your attention and saying no to everything else. Not because those things are bad, but because they're not aligned with what you're trying to build. You don't have time to waste on things that don't move you forward. Life is too short, and your goals are too important. If something doesn't serve your mission, it doesn't belong in your daily routine. It's that simple. When you protect your time, you protect your energy. And when your energy is protected, your results begin to multiply. You stop feeling scattered. You stop feeling behind. You start getting things done with clarity and speed. You move with purpose. You become the kind of person who shows up fully to the moment, not halfway distracted by a dozen other things. That's rare in today's world, and that's why it's powerful. Most people are trapped in digital chaos, but you don't have to be. You can reclaim your mind. Start small. Turn off notifications. Keep your phone in another room when you're working. Schedule your most important tasks during your peak energy hours. Let people know when you're not available. Block time for deep work and actually honor it. These aren't complicated steps, but they take discipline. And that discipline will change your life. Because every moment you protect becomes a moment of progress. Every hour you focus becomes an hour that compounds into mastery. Every decision to eliminate the noise brings you closer to peace and power. Don't just say you want success. Build an environment that makes it possible. Your surroundings influence your behavior. If your space is full of temptations and distractions, you'll always struggle to focus. So clean it up. Create a space that invites discipline. Keep it minimal. Keep it intentional. Design your environment to support your goals, not sabotage them. That single decision can make more of a difference than motivation ever will. Motivation fades. Systems last. Understand that distraction is not always external. Sometimes it's your own mind pulling you in different directions. That's why mindfulness matters. You have to learn to be present with what you're doing, to give your full attention to the task at hand, not just physically, but mentally. When your mind wanders, bring it back. Over and over again. That's how you build focus. It's a skill, and the more you practice it, the sharper it becomes. You won't be perfect. You'll get distracted sometimes. That's okay. The goal isn't to be flawless, it's to be intentional. When you catch yourself drifting, pause, redirect, recommit. That's the process. Over time, your ability to focus will grow stronger. You'll start to notice when something is stealing your time. You'll feel the difference between meaningful work and mindless activity, and you'll begin to live with a level of clarity that most people never experience. Your time is your most valuable asset. You can lose money and make it back, but once you spend a day, it's gone forever. Every hour you waste is an hour you never get back. That's why you can't afford to be careless with your attention. You can't afford to give it to anything that doesn't deserve it, because your goals need it. Your growth needs it. Your future needs it. If you want to build something extraordinary, you have to be ruthless about how you spend your time. And that means making hard choices. It means saying no to things that are fun but unproductive. It means prioritizing your mission over momentary pleasure. It means missing out on some things so you can create something greater. That's not sacrifice. That's strategy. That's what it takes to build a life you're proud of. A life that's not shaped by distractions but by deliberate effort. Don't wait for the world to respect your time. Teach it how. By the way you show up. By the boundaries you keep. By the example you set. People will follow your lead. They'll start to understand that your time matters because you act like it does. And the more you value your time, the more others will too. But it starts with you. With the standards you hold. With the decisions you make every day. Time is passing whether you're focused or not. The only question is, what are you doing with it? Are you letting it slip through your fingers, or are you using it to build something that lasts? That's a choice you make every single day. Every time you wake up, you're given another opportunity to move forward or drift aimlessly. The clock is ticking either way. Choose to be intentional. Choose to protect your time. Choose to cut out distractions before they cut off your progress. When you look back on your life, you won't remember the hours you spent scrolling. You won't remember the meaningless notifications. You'll remember what you built, what you created, who you became. And that's why this matters. Because your future depends on what you do with today. Don't waste it. Don't hand it over to distractions. Own it. Control it. Use it. And when you do, your results will reflect that commitment. Success isn't built in explosive moments. It's built in quiet hours of focus, repeated over time. It's built in the discipline to show up and do the work when no one is clapping, when it's not exciting, when it's just you and the task. That's when greatness is made. And that's why distractions are so dangerous. They interrupt the very process that builds your future. Don't let that happen. Stay locked in. Stay clear. Stay committed. You don't need more time. You just need to stop wasting the time you already have. You just need to eliminate what doesn't serve you and double down on what does. You just need to treat your time like the gift that it is, not something to kill but something to honor. And when you do that, everything changes. Your clarity grows. Your productivity rises. Your peace expands. Because you're no longer living reactively. You're living with purpose. Make that your standard. Live like your time matters, because it does. Cut out what drains you. Guard your schedule like it shapes your life, because it does. Focus your attention like your future depends on it, because it does. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being aware. It's about making better choices. And it's about showing up to your life fully, without distraction, without delay, and without compromise. Every day, without exception. That's how you win. That's how you rise. That's how you live with power. Chapter 7. Take full responsibility for everything you allow. Taking full responsibility for your life is the highest form of self-respect. It's the point where you stop blaming, stop waiting, stop expecting, and start owning everything you allow into your space. your thoughts, your actions, your habits, your choices, and your environment. You begin to see that nothing changes unless you do. No one is coming to rescue you, fix your past, or carry your weight. The sooner you realize that the life you're living right now is a direct reflection of what you've tolerated and permitted, the sooner you reclaim your power. Responsibility isn't a burden, it's the key to your freedom. There is no real growth without accountability. If you're still pointing fingers, you haven't begun to rise. If you're still waiting for someone else to change, you're delaying your evolution. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control what you do about it. Every time you make an excuse, you hand over a piece of your strength. Every time you say, "It's not my fault," you choose to stay small. And every time you deny your role in the chaos or the calm, you lose an opportunity to become wiser. Responsibility is not about guilt. It's about maturity. It's the mark of someone who has decided to lead themselves. You have to start by looking in the mirror. You have to ask yourself, what have I allowed into my life that doesn't belong? What habits have I chosen that keep me stuck? What relationships have I tolerated that drain me? What standards have I lowered that betray my vision? These questions aren't easy, but they're necessary, because nothing shifts until you do. You can't pretend you're serious about growth while you keep accepting what holds you back. At some point, you have to draw the line and say, "I'm done letting these things control me." And once you do, you'll notice something powerful: clarity. You start to see where you've been lying to yourself. You see how comfort can turn into a prison. You see how fear of confrontation kept you silent when you should have spoken up. You see how procrastination became a habit of avoidance. But instead of judging yourself for the past, you use it. You learn from it. You grow because of it. Taking responsibility doesn't mean beating yourself up. It means refusing to stay blind. It means stepping into the truth with courage and using that truth to build something better. It's easy to talk about goals and dreams. It's easy to say you want a disciplined life. But until your actions reflect that desire, it's just talk. Responsibility shows up in your decisions, in how you spend your time, in the effort you give when no one's watching, in how you handle pressure, mistakes, and setbacks. It shows up in your ability to admit when you were wrong and fix it without drama. It shows up in your willingness to clean up the messes you made instead of pretending they weren't yours. Real strength is quiet. It's in the person who doesn't blame, doesn't avoid, doesn't escape, but faces reality and moves forward with discipline. Everything you allow, you teach. If you allow disrespect, you teach people it's okay to treat you that way. If you allow laziness in your routines, you teach your mind that effort is optional. If you allow excuses in your thinking, you teach yourself that mediocrity is acceptable. And that teaching doesn't stay private. It shows in your results. It shows in how much you've grown. It shows in the life you've built. You cannot separate your outcomes from your patterns. What you permit becomes your normal. And if your normal isn't something you're proud of, it's time to take full ownership and do something about it. There is no power in being a victim. Life is hard for everyone. Challenges will show up. Pain is part of the process. But how you respond, that's your choice. You either use the pain or let it break you. You either grow from the struggle or get stuck in it. Responsibility means you stop using your story as a crutch. You stop waiting for someone to validate your pain. You start writing a new story based on who you're becoming, not what you've been through. That shift changes everything, because now you're not reacting, you're creating. You're not waiting, you're moving. You're not hoping, you're executing. Look at your routines. Are they aligned with who you say you want to be? Look at your surroundings. Are they helping you stay sharp or keeping you distracted? Look at your self-talk. Is it building you up or slowly destroying your confidence? These are the real questions. Because every moment you choose something that weakens your growth, you delay your progress. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to stop allowing things that contradict your vision. Every excuse you stop making becomes a window for change. Every habit you replace opens the door for new discipline. Every standard you raise pushes you closer to your potential. Start small. Start with your daily choices. What time you wake up, what you consume, who you talk to, what you prioritize. These aren't just random moments, they are bricks. And every brick you lay builds the foundation of your life. If you want a life that feels strong, stable, and meaningful, start laying better bricks. The habits don't have to be dramatic. They just have to be consistent. But that consistency only comes when you hold yourself accountable, even on the days when motivation is gone. Especially on those days. That's when character is tested. You can't keep giving yourself an out and expect to see results. You can't keep letting yourself off the hook and expect to feel proud. You can't keep making the same mistakes and pretending they're not a choice. Change begins the moment you say, "No more. I take responsibility for this." You will never be perfect, but you can be relentless. You can be honest. You can be disciplined. You can wake up every day and choose to act like your goals matter, because they do. And no one can do that for you. Responsibility is not a one-time event. It's a lifestyle. It shows up in how you lead yourself daily. It's found in the way you respond when things go wrong. Do you deflect or do you take ownership? Do you run from discomfort or face it head-on? Do you blame your past or build from it? The more responsibility you take, the more control you gain. And the more control you have, the more freedom you feel. That's the paradox. Freedom comes from discipline, not avoidance. You begin to feel stronger when you stop avoiding hard truths. When you finally stop negotiating with weakness. When you stop compromising with old habits that no longer serve the person you want to become. It's not about being harsh with yourself. It's about refusing to lie to yourself. That's love. That's self-respect. That's power. It's the kind of power that doesn't come from inspiration. It comes from action. It comes from walking into the fire of change and refusing to back down. You must be the one to say, if it's in my life, it's because I've allowed it. And if it's not serving me, I will change it. That's ownership. That's leadership. And that's what separates those who grow from those who repeat. Because growth doesn't happen by chance. It happens by choice. The choice to take responsibility every single day. The choice to adjust, adapt, and evolve. The choice to let go of the old story and write a new one with discipline and direction. Nobody is perfect, and no one has it all figured out. But the ones who rise are the ones who take responsibility before they're forced to. They reflect before things fall apart. They correct their course before the damage is too deep. And they keep showing up. Not because it's easy, but because they know that self-respect is built in the quiet moments when you choose growth over comfort. Every time you make that choice, you get stronger. You build momentum. You start to trust yourself more. And that trust turns into confidence, not because life is easy, but because you've proven you can handle it. This is your life, no one else's. You decide what you allow. You decide what you tolerate. You decide what you chase and what you let go of. And with that power comes a massive responsibility, but also an opportunity. You can build a life that reflects your values, your standards, and your potential. You just have to be bold enough to take full ownership of everything you do. Every word, every step, every decision. That's how you rise. That's how you grow. And that's how you reclaim your time, your focus, and your future. You don't wait for the world to get easier. You get better. You don't hope someone shows up to fix your habits. You build them. You don't wait for motivation to strike. You strike with discipline. That's what it means to take full responsibility for everything you allow. And when you live that way, you begin to move differently. You walk with clarity. You act with purpose. You build with consistency. And you live with the peace of knowing that no matter what happens, you are in control of you. Chapter 8. Speak truthfully and confidently to your own mind. The mind is your most powerful tool, or your greatest enemy, depending on how you engage with it. Too many people allow their thoughts to dictate their actions, not realizing that the reverse is true. It is your actions that should command your thoughts. Learning how to speak truthfully and confidently to your own mind is a critical step in mastering your life. Your mind will give you excuses, doubts, and fears. These are its default settings, often influenced by your past experiences and society's limitations. But you are not obligated to accept them. You are not a slave to the mind that tells you what you can't do. You are the master of your own mind, and the way you speak to it will shape the reality you create. Speaking truthfully to your mind is about being honest with yourself, no matter how uncomfortable or difficult it may feel. It is about acknowledging where you are without sugarcoating your situation or hiding from the truth. You cannot make progress if you are in denial. Progress requires clarity, and clarity comes from confronting the facts. The truth is not always pretty, but it is the only foundation from which real growth can spring. When you speak truthfully to your mind, you are saying, "I am aware of my current state, and I choose to rise above it." You are not pretending that everything is fine when it isn't, but instead you are taking responsibility for your thoughts, your behaviors, and your circumstances. There is a dangerous habit in our society of self-deception. We live in a world that is constantly pushing the narrative that we should be happy all the time, that we should have everything figured out, and that success comes easily. But the truth is far more complex. Life is hard, growth is difficult. Overcoming the hurdles in front of you requires more than just surface-level positivity. It requires a raw, unfiltered conversation with yourself, one where you are willing to see the flaws, accept them, and work through them. Only then can you make lasting change. The first step is speaking the truth, acknowledging that you are where you are because of the choices you've made. This is not to say you are doomed by your past, but it is to say that you must take full ownership of it. You cannot rise above your past if you refuse to face it honestly. Confidence in your mind comes from speaking the truth consistently. When you start telling your mind what is true about your potential, your worth, and your abilities, you begin to rewire your thinking. Most people don't realize this, but we are constantly speaking to ourselves in one way or another. Our self-talk is always happening, whether we're aware of it or not. But how much of that self-talk is constructive? How much of it is rooted in negativity and doubt? When you speak truthfully to your mind, you shift that internal conversation. You replace doubts with affirmations, excuses with actions, and negativity with possibilities. But this doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice, it takes discipline, and it takes a conscious decision to challenge the automatic thoughts that arise when you face discomfort, failure, or even success. Imagine this scenario. You are faced with a challenge. Perhaps you're starting something new, stepping into unfamiliar territory, or trying to break free from old habits. Your mind will immediately flood you with doubts. This is too hard. You'll never succeed. You're not capable. If you listen to that voice, you will never take the first step. But what if, instead of accepting those thoughts as facts, you spoke back to them with truth and confidence? What if you said, yes, this is difficult, but I am capable. Yes, I might fail, but that doesn't define me. I will keep going. I will figure this out. This shift in how you speak to your mind creates a new narrative. It changes your relationship with fear, failure, and challenges. It teaches you to see obstacles as opportunities to grow rather than reasons to quit. One of the most powerful ways to speak truthfully and confidently to your mind is by acknowledging your fears and doubts without letting them control you. Fear is not the enemy. In fact, it is often the sign that you're on the verge of something important. Fear shows up when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, and it's a signal that you're growing. But most people make the mistake of allowing fear to stop them. They listen to the voice that says, "Don't do it. You'll fail. It's safer to stay where you are." The truth, however, is that you cannot grow in your comfort zone. You cannot achieve greatness by staying small. The way to speak confidently to your mind in the face of fear is by acknowledging that it's okay to be afraid. But you are not going to let fear control your actions. You are not going to let fear dictate your decisions. You can also speak truthfully to your mind by recognizing your strengths and capabilities. Often, we are our own harshest critics. We focus on what we lack, what we haven't accomplished yet, or what went wrong. We rarely take the time to acknowledge what we've done well. But when you speak confidently to your mind, you begin to shift your focus. You start to remind yourself of the progress you've made, the obstacles you've already overcome, and the skills you've developed. Instead of focusing on the gaps, you focus on your growth. This practice doesn't make you arrogant, it makes you grounded. It helps you recognize that you are capable of more than you give yourself credit for. When you constantly reinforce the truth of your strength, you build the mental muscle necessary to face challenges with courage. Confidence comes from consistent action, not just positive thinking. It comes from proving to yourself, day by day, that you are capable. The more you act on what you know is right, the more you reinforce the truth to your mind that you can be trusted. And the more you trust yourself, the more confidence you build. It is an upward spiral. But that spiral begins with speaking the truth. Speaking truthfully to your mind is not just about saying things you wish were true. It is about speaking things that are true. You are not perfect, but you are progressing. You may fail, but you learn from your failures. You might not have everything figured out, but you have enough to take the next step. These truths, repeated over time, will reshape the narrative in your mind and allow you to live from a place of grounded confidence. There is also immense power in speaking kindly to yourself. Many of us would never speak to a friend the way we speak to ourselves. We are often harsh, critical, and unkind. But when you choose to speak truthfully and confidently to your mind, you choose to be kind to yourself in the process. You acknowledge your imperfections without judgment. You celebrate your efforts, even if the results aren't perfect. You remind yourself that growth is a journey, and it's okay to make mistakes along the way. The more you practice this self-compassion, the more you will find that your mind becomes a place of encouragement rather than self-sabotage. The way you speak to your mind shapes the way you see the world. If you speak to yourself with negativity, doubt, and criticism, that is how you will see your opportunities, limited, intimidating, or unattainable. But if you speak to your mind with truth, confidence, and compassion, you begin to see possibilities. You see challenges as stepping stones, failures as lessons, and obstacles as chances to grow stronger. Speaking truthfully and confidently to your mind is the foundation of a mindset that is resilient, optimistic, and empowered. In conclusion, the words you speak to your mind are powerful. They shape your reality, define your self-image, and determine your actions. When you speak with honesty, courage, and confidence, you create a mindset that supports your success rather than hinders it. You build a mental environment where growth is inevitable, challenges are welcomed, and fear is conquered. So start today. Begin speaking truthfully and confidently to your mind. Speak the truth about who you are, what you're capable of, and where you're going. And as you do, you will find that your mind will begin to reflect the greatness you are choosing to believe in. Chapter 9. Face your fears and grow through the discomfort. Fear is a constant companion in life. It shows up whenever you're on the edge of growth, standing at the precipice of something new and unfamiliar. It whispers in your ear, telling you that you're not ready, that you're not enough, that the risk isn't worth it. The funny thing about fear is that it often seems louder just before the breakthrough happens. It's as if fear knows that growth is just around the corner, and its job is to keep you from stepping forward. But the truth is, fear is not a signal to stop. It's a signal to grow. The only way to truly grow is to face your fears head-on and move through them, not around them. The discomfort you feel in those moments of fear is where the transformation takes place. If you want to change your life, you must be willing to face your fears, not just to acknowledge them, but to confront them in a way that allows you to grow stronger. This doesn't mean you won't feel scared or uncertain. It doesn't mean that fear won't have a voice in your head. It just means that you choose to move forward regardless of how loud that voice is. Every time you choose to act in the face of fear, you are building the muscle of resilience. You are proving to yourself that you can trust yourself, that you are capable of handling the discomfort, and that fear doesn't control you, it motivates you. Fear thrives in the unknown, and when you face your fears, you expose the unknown for what it truly is, an opportunity. Opportunities are often disguised as discomfort. They show up in the form of difficult decisions, challenges, and new paths that seem uncertain. But within that discomfort lies growth. You cannot expect to achieve anything of significance if you're unwilling to face the discomfort that comes with it. Think about any major accomplishment in your life. Was it easy? Did it require you to push through fear? The answer is most likely yes. Growth always requires a stretch beyond your current comfort zone. And this stretch is painful because it forces you to confront your weaknesses, your doubts, and your insecurities. But it is in the overcoming of these things that you find your true strength. So how do you begin to face your fears? It starts by understanding that fear is not something to be avoided, but something to be understood. Fear is a natural response to change, to the unknown. When you are stepping into uncharted territory, your brain perceives it as a threat, even if it's something that will ultimately benefit you. The body reacts to fear by activating the fight or flight response, flooding your system with adrenaline and urging you to flee from the situation. This is a natural instinct designed to keep you safe. However, in modern life, this survival instinct is often triggered in situations where there is no real danger. The fear you feel before a public speaking event, a tough conversation, or a business decision is not the same as the fear of physical harm. But your body reacts to it as if it were. Recognizing this distinction is the first step in facing your fears. Fear is just energy. It's your body's way of preparing you for action. It's the anticipation of change, and the only way to move through it is by taking action despite the fear. The more you sit with your fear and avoid it, the more powerful it becomes. But the more you face it, the more you prove to yourself that you can handle it. Fear will always be present when you're about to do something important, but the more you embrace it as a sign of growth, the less power it will have over you. The second step in facing your fears is to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing fear as something that should stop you, start seeing it as a sign that you are on the right path. The more you push through fear, the more you build your resilience. You begin to understand that discomfort is not something to avoid, it's something to lean into. The discomfort you feel when you're pushing yourself to do something new is the very thing that sharpens your resolve and develops your character. Every time you step out of your comfort zone, you expand your capacity to handle bigger challenges in the future. You begin to see fear not as an obstacle, but as a tool for growth. It's also important to remember that fear is often a story we tell ourselves. The narrative in your mind plays a huge role in how you experience fear. If you tell yourself that fear is paralyzing and something that you must run from, then that's exactly what it will be. But if you start to reframe the story, if you start telling yourself that fear is a natural part of growth and a sign of progress, then you begin to change your relationship with it. The next time you feel fear rising, you can choose to say, "This is a sign that I'm pushing my boundaries. This is a signal that I am on the verge of something big." When you change the story you tell yourself about fear, you change the way you experience it. Another key to overcoming fear is action. Action is the antidote to fear. The longer you wait, the more time you give to the fear to grow. Every moment you delay is a moment that fear gets stronger. But when you take action, even if it's a small step, you break the grip that fear has on you. Action quiets the voice of fear because it's impossible to be consumed by doubt when you're actively moving towards something. When you take action, you prove to yourself that fear does not control you. Action is a declaration of independence from fear. It is your statement to yourself and the world that you will not be held back by your doubts. Of course, taking action doesn't mean you're not afraid. It simply means that you're not letting your fear stop you. There will always be a part of you that wants to turn back, that tells you to play it safe, that reminds you of all the reasons why you shouldn't take the risk. But when you push through that resistance and take action anyway, you start to build a habit of courage. You begin to trust yourself to handle whatever comes your way. And with each step you take, your confidence grows. You begin to realize that fear is not something to be avoided. It's something to be used as fuel for your growth. The discomfort you feel when facing fear is the price of admission for growth. It's easy to stay where you are and play it safe. It's easy to avoid discomfort and stay within the boundaries of what you know. But you cannot grow there. Growth happens in the unknown, in the untested, in the place where fear exists. When you choose to push through that discomfort, you're choosing a life of growth, transformation, and resilience. You're choosing to become the best version of yourself, to expand your capabilities, and to build a future that is stronger than anything fear could ever hold you back from. In the end, fear is not your enemy, it's your ally. It's the indication that you are on the right path, that you're moving towards something greater. And when you face it, when you step into the discomfort and move through it, you emerge on the other side, stronger, wiser, and more capable than you were before. Fear is not a signal to turn around, it's a signal to keep going. And when you do, you will find that your greatest growth happens not in spite of fear, but because of it. Chapter 10. Work in silence and let results speak loudly. There is a deep, silent power in working without fanfare, without announcing every step you take or every plan you execute. It's in this quiet space where true transformation happens, where you make progress without seeking constant validation. Too often, we are caught up in the noise of the world, in the constant need to be seen, heard, and acknowledged. We want to show the world our hustle, post our victories, and announce every small win. But in doing so, we might be distracted from the real goal, creating lasting, meaningful results. There is an incredible strength in working in silence, letting your actions speak louder than your words, and trusting that the results will eventually show the world what you've built. In a world that thrives on instant gratification, where social media amplifies every moment and everyone wants to be recognized in real time, it's easy to get caught up in the need for external approval. But this need for acknowledgement is fleeting and often distracting. What matters more than recognition is the work itself, the dedication, the consistency, and the effort that goes into mastering your craft. Working in silence isn't about avoiding recognition altogether. It's about prioritizing the process over the applause. It's about shifting your focus from seeking praise to focusing on excellence. It's about showing up every day, doing the work, and trusting that the results will speak for themselves. When you work in silence, you are not looking for shortcuts or fast praise. You are not concerned with impressing others or gaining immediate attention. Your focus is on the long-term process, on getting better every single day. It's easy to get distracted by the need for validation. Many people want to share their achievements, their goals, their milestones, but there's an important lesson in silence. The best results come when you are completely immersed in the work. When you're not focused on the outside noise, you can focus entirely on improving yourself, your skills, and your results. You don't need constant feedback or applause to tell you that you're moving in the right direction. The work itself and the progress you make is enough. This approach doesn't mean working in isolation or withdrawing from the world. It means you understand the power of discipline and focus. When you stop seeking external validation, you create the space to push yourself to your limits, to stretch your capabilities, and to grow in ways that can't be measured by likes or comments. You are working because it's what you need to do to improve. You are working because it aligns with your deeper purpose and vision. You are working because you know that the results will eventually speak louder than any social media post or public announcement could. Silence allows for reflection. It lets you hone your skills, deepen your understanding, and refine your approach. When you focus less on getting attention and more on doing the work, you create the opportunity for continuous growth. There is power in solitude. It's in the quiet moments of focus where you truly figure out what you're capable of. It's when you push through the days when no one is watching that you start to build the foundation for lasting success. The world doesn't need to see your every move. They don't need to know the struggles you face, the sacrifices you make, or the challenges you overcome. What they need to see are the results, the outcome of your dedication, your hard work, and your perseverance. Success is not about the noise you make while you're on the journey. It's about the quiet persistence that leads to extraordinary results. The person who works in silence doesn't need to constantly remind others of their ambition. Their actions do the talking. Over time, the world will recognize the value of what they've done. It's not about shouting your intentions from the rooftops. It's about consistently showing up and doing the work, even when it feels like no one is noticing. Eventually, the results will make their own statement. There's a level of peace that comes with working in silence, without worrying about other people's expectations or opinions. When you stop trying to prove yourself, you start to unlock your true potential. You become free to focus solely on your craft, to immerse yourself in the process, and to pour your energy into things that truly matter. Working without the need for constant feedback means that you can build without distraction. It means you can pour your heart into your work without worrying about whether or not others approve. This focus is what allows you to achieve things that others might overlook or dismiss. This silence is not the same as isolation. It's the silence of discipline, where you're deeply engaged in the work, but not constantly broadcasting it to the world. It's the silence of a marathon runner who trains in solitude, who doesn't need to boast about every mile they run. It's the silence of an artist who paints in the quiet hours, not for recognition, but for the craft itself. This is the silence that builds true mastery. The ones who truly succeed are often the ones who are quietly working in the background, day in and day out, without looking for praise. They're too focused on the next challenge, the next project, the next opportunity to grow. The results speak for themselves. By working in silence, you also create a sense of anticipation. You build momentum without needing immediate validation. You start to see results in your own time, and this creates a deeper sense of satisfaction because you're not dependent on others to measure your progress. You can't rush mastery. It takes time, patience, and sustained effort. And as you continue to work, you will notice that the results you produce will become undeniable. The quality of your work will speak volumes, far louder than any words you could say or accolades you could receive. In a world full of noise, working in silence becomes a powerful act of resistance. It's about rejecting the need for constant validation, the need to be seen and heard at every turn. When you let go of this external pressure, you can focus fully on what matters most, the work itself. You become more productive, more creative, and more aligned with your true purpose. The work you produce will be your true voice, the voice of discipline, focus, and consistency. The longer you work without seeking praise, the greater the rewards will be because your results will shine through on their own. Working in silence doesn't mean you won't experience challenges or setbacks. It doesn't mean there won't be moments of doubt or frustration. But when you're working with focus, without distractions, you become better equipped to handle those obstacles. The quiet pursuit of excellence allows you to stay grounded in your purpose, even when things get tough. And when you push through the challenges, when you overcome the doubts, your results will become a testimony to your dedication. It's easy to get caught up in the need for external recognition, but remember, the best work often goes unnoticed in the moment. The world might not always see your efforts, but when the results finally surface, they will speak for themselves. Keep working in silence, let your results do the talking, and you'll build something that is truly remarkable, something that will stand the test of time. Your work will echo long after you've stopped speaking.
Chapter 11. Learn something useful and apply it every day. To improve and grow each day, we must commit to learning something new every single day. It's easy to get comfortable in the routines of our lives, to stick with what we already know and believe. But real growth comes from stepping out of the familiar, expanding our knowledge, and applying what we've learned in practical ways. The knowledge that we gain is useless unless it's put into action, unless it's applied to the way we live, work, and think. Every day offers us an opportunity to improve. There is so much information available to us, from books, podcasts, online courses, and conversations with others. The problem isn't that there isn't enough information, it's that most people fail to turn that information into action. They consume knowledge without using it, without integrating it into their lives, and they wonder why they don't see any progress. Learning is a tool, but it only becomes powerful when we apply it consistently. To make meaningful progress in our lives, we must make learning and applying knowledge a daily habit.
Start with something small. Every morning, commit to learning something useful, something you can apply right away. It doesn't have to be a massive piece of knowledge. It could be a lesson from a book, a simple skill you can practice, or an insight that can improve your mindset. The key is to choose something that's actionable, something that you can use in your day-to-day life. Each piece of knowledge you gain is like adding a new tool to your toolbox. The more tools you have, the more equipped you are to handle the challenges that come your way. But a tool that sits unused is just a piece of metal or plastic. It has no value unless it's applied. As you learn something new, ask yourself, how can I use this today? How can I implement this knowledge to make my life better, to improve my work, my relationships, or my mindset? Knowledge without application is like a seed that never gets planted. You can learn all the facts and strategies in the world, but without action, they won't grow into something meaningful. The real transformation comes when you take that knowledge and turn it into something practical, something that moves you forward. Think about the small improvements you can make every day. You don't need to overhaul your entire life at once. Start by finding one area where you can apply what you've learned. Maybe it's a new technique for improving productivity, a new way to manage your emotions, or a new approach to problem solving. As you apply these lessons consistently, you'll notice that the small changes begin to compound. Each new thing you learn and implement builds on the last, creating momentum that propels you forward. Over time, these small steps lead to big results. Learning also requires a mindset shift. Instead of seeing challenges as obstacles, see them as opportunities to learn. When you encounter a problem, instead of reacting emotionally or giving up, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Every setback, every difficulty is a chance to grow. When you face adversity, instead of complaining or feeling defeated, look for the lesson. What can you take away from the experience that will make you stronger, wiser, and more capable in the future? This mindset of continuous learning is what allows you to turn every experience into a stepping stone, a chance to improve and refine your approach. One of the most powerful aspects of learning is that it never has to stop. There's always something new to discover, always a new lesson to learn. Even if you master one skill, there are always deeper levels of understanding to explore. Learning is not just a means to an end, it's a lifelong journey. The more you learn, the more you realize there is to learn. This endless cycle of discovery and application is what keeps life interesting and rewarding. It's what keeps you engaged, motivated, and growing. But it's not just about quantity, it's about quality as well. Instead of trying to learn as much as possible in the shortest amount of time, focus on depth and understanding. True mastery comes from diving deep into subjects, not just skimming the surface. Don't rush to check things off your list. Instead, aim for true comprehension, so that what you learn sticks with you and becomes part of your toolkit. When you approach learning with the intention to truly understand, rather than just to consume, you'll be able to apply that knowledge more effectively. There's also the importance of reflection. Learning isn't just about acquiring new information, it's about integrating it into your life. After learning something new, take time to reflect. How did it change the way you think or approach challenges? How can you apply this lesson to your current circumstances? Reflection helps solidify your learning, making it more likely that the lessons will stick and have a lasting impact. Without reflection, learning can become just another item on your to-do list. When you take the time to reflect on what you've learned and how it applies to your life, you make it meaningful. To truly make learning a part of your daily life, set a specific intention each day to learn something useful. It doesn't have to take a long time, just 15 minutes of focused learning is enough. Read a chapter of a book, listen to a podcast while walking, watch a short tutorial, or have a conversation with someone who knows something you don't. The point is to consistently seek out opportunities to grow. Don't wait for inspiration to strike. Create the habit of learning and applying daily. Over time, this habit will become second nature, and you'll find that your life begins to change. As you commit to learning and applying knowledge each day, you'll notice subtle but powerful shifts in the way you approach life. Challenges will no longer seem as insurmountable because you'll be equipped with the tools and mindset to handle them. Your confidence will grow because you'll know that you can learn anything and apply it to make improvements. You'll stop feeling stuck because you'll have an endless supply of new strategies and insights to implement. And most importantly, you'll be moving forward every single day, one small but significant step at a time. In a world that's constantly changing, the ability to learn and adapt is more important than ever. The most successful people are not those who know everything. They're the ones who never stop learning. They know that knowledge is power, but only when it's put into action. They don't just acquire information, they use it to move themselves and others forward. Every day is an opportunity to improve, to get better, and to create something more meaningful. By making learning and applying knowledge a daily habit, you ensure that you are always growing, always evolving, and always ready to face the challenges ahead. Learning isn't a one-time event, it's a lifelong commitment, and by taking the small, consistent steps every day, you will develop a mindset and a skill set that will serve you for a lifetime. So commit to learning something useful and applying it every day, and watch as the small changes build up to create a life of continuous growth and improvement. Chapter 12. Reflect deeply and correct your mistakes fast. Reflecting on our actions, decisions, and mistakes is one of the most powerful tools for personal growth. The ability to pause, look back, and evaluate is what separates those who are constantly improving from those who are merely going through the motions. But reflecting isn't just about thinking, it's about digging deep, facing the hard truths, and using that clarity to make corrections quickly and effectively. We all make mistakes. It's part of being human, but how we respond to those mistakes determines whether we grow from them or stay stuck. When we ignore our mistakes, or worse, repeat them without understanding why they happened, we miss out on the opportunity to evolve. The process of reflection allows us to learn, but only if we do it intentionally and without judgment. Mistakes are not failures unless we allow them to define us. They are opportunities to learn, adjust, and get better. Reflecting deeply requires honesty. It requires a willingness to look at ourselves and our actions without the veil of ego. Often, our mistakes are tied to our own choices or behaviors. The hardest part is admitting that we are responsible for the things that went wrong. It's easy to blame circumstances, other people, or even bad luck. But deep reflection means taking full responsibility for what has happened without making excuses. It means acknowledging the areas where we faltered and being honest about why things didn't work out the way we planned. This kind of reflection is not about beating yourself up or dwelling in regret. It's about seeing clearly what happened and asking the important questions: what went wrong? What could I have done differently? What did I learn from this experience? These questions force us to step outside of our emotions and look at the situation objectively. By doing so, we create a roadmap for how to avoid the same mistake in the future. It's important to note that mistakes are not a sign of failure, but a sign of growth. Every mistake is a lesson, and every lesson is an opportunity to improve. However, reflection without action is simply wasted time. It's one thing to identify a mistake, but it's another to correct it. After reflecting on what went wrong, the next step is to make fast corrections. The longer we wait to correct a mistake, the more entrenched the behavior becomes, and the harder it is to change. Speed is crucial. It's about being proactive in your corrections, adjusting your course of action immediately so you don't repeat the same errors. If you let a mistake fester, it can turn into a habit or a mindset that holds you back. But when you recognize a mistake and act swiftly to correct it, you are sending a message to yourself that you are in control and committed to your growth. The faster you correct mistakes, the quicker you start building momentum toward your goals. Every time you catch yourself and make an adjustment, you're getting closer to the person you want to become. This ability to self-correct is one of the most powerful traits of high achievers. They don't let mistakes knock them down. Instead, they see them as part of the process, something to learn from and grow through. They are constantly adjusting, evolving, and refining their approach. And the quicker they do this, the faster they move towards success. The key to this process is developing a mindset that values progress over perfection. Many people make the mistake of waiting for everything to be perfect before they take action. But perfection is an illusion. If you are waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect conditions to make your move, you are holding yourself back. It's better to take action, make mistakes, and correct them along the way, than to wait for everything to be just right. Progress comes from the willingness to take imperfect action and learn from each step. Correction doesn't just apply to external actions, it's also about correcting your internal mindset. If you notice negative thoughts creeping in, if you catch yourself thinking in ways that are limiting or self-sabotaging, correct them immediately. Negative thought patterns can hold you back more than any external challenge. The sooner you spot them and adjust your thinking, the quicker you start creating the mindset of success. But if you let negative thoughts go unchecked, they can build a foundation of self-doubt, fear, and insecurity that becomes much harder to overcome. One powerful tool for correcting mistakes is to adopt a growth mindset. When you have a growth mindset, you see challenges as opportunities to learn. You view mistakes not as evidence of failure, but as signs that you are pushing your limits and expanding your capabilities. With this mindset, reflection becomes a tool for growth, not a source of shame. The more you practice this mindset, the easier it becomes to move through life with resilience and adaptability. Mistakes won't shake you because you'll see them as stepping stones, each one leading you closer to your goal. It's also important to realize that reflection and correction are ongoing processes. You don't just reflect on a mistake once and move on. Reflection should become a daily habit. At the end of each day, take a few moments to look back on your actions, thoughts, and decisions. What went well? What didn't? What can you learn from today? This daily habit of reflection helps you stay grounded in the present, focused on constant improvement. It ensures that you're always learning and adjusting, that you're never complacent or stagnant. The process of correcting mistakes also involves forgiveness. When you make a mistake, it's easy to get caught up in feelings of guilt or shame. But beating yourself up over a mistake doesn't help you learn. It only serves to keep you stuck in negative emotions. Instead, forgive yourself quickly and move on. Remember, mistakes are part of the process. They do not define you. What defines you is your ability to recognize, learn, and grow from them. When you forgive yourself and take swift action to correct your course, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of overcoming challenges and improving continuously. In addition to personal reflection, seek feedback from others. Sometimes we are too close to a situation to see our mistakes clearly. Getting an outside perspective can offer valuable insights and help you identify blind spots. Constructive feedback is an invaluable tool for self-improvement. It gives you the opportunity to see your actions from a different angle and learn from others' experiences. Be open to feedback and use it as an opportunity to refine and correct your approach. Lastly, make correction a habit. The more you practice the art of reflection and correction, the easier it becomes. It becomes second nature to quickly assess your actions, identify mistakes, and make adjustments. The ability to move quickly from failure to success is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who give up too soon. The faster you learn from your mistakes, the faster you progress. You begin to develop a momentum that carries you through even the toughest challenges. Growth doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen with consistent effort and a commitment to learning. When you reflect deeply and correct your mistakes quickly, you position yourself for continuous improvement. Mistakes are not the end, they are just the beginning of your journey towards success. The key is in how you respond to them. Do you learn, adapt, and grow, or do you ignore them and stay stuck? The answer to that question will determine the speed and quality of your progress. In the end, the goal is to become a person who takes responsibility, learns from mistakes, and constantly strives to improve. Reflection and correction are the tools that will help you get there. Embrace them, practice them, and watch yourself transform into the person you are meant to be. Chapter 13. Discipline your actions no matter how you feel. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. We've all experienced those moments where our feelings don't align with what we know we should be doing. Perhaps you're tired, maybe you're feeling unmotivated, or maybe life is simply challenging you in ways that make it difficult to summon the energy to act. In these moments, it's easy to convince ourselves that we don't have to push forward, that it's okay to take a break or postpone our responsibilities. However, if we allow our feelings to dictate our actions, we risk abandoning the consistency and effort that ultimately leads to success. Disciplining your actions, regardless of how you feel, is one of the most powerful tools you can develop in your life. It's the secret weapon of high achievers, those who push through when others choose comfort. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to work when you're exhausted. It's about understanding that emotions come and go, but your goals and commitments remain. It's about recognizing that the only way to truly build a meaningful life is through the consistent actions that bring us closer to our purpose, even when the circumstances don't feel ideal. The key to discipline lies in understanding that actions speak louder than feelings. Feelings are temporary, they come in waves and often change with little warning. One moment you might be brimming with excitement and energy, and the next you could feel drained and unmotivated. If you allow yourself to act based on feelings, you'll find yourself in a cycle of inconsistency, where sometimes you give your best, and other times you don't show up at all. It's the unpredictable nature of emotions that makes discipline so necessary. By disciplining your actions, you ensure that even when you feel like quitting, your work continues. Consistency is the backbone of this kind of discipline. When you commit to something, whether it's your personal growth, a fitness routine, or a project at work, you need to make a daily decision to show up, regardless of how you feel. And here's the truth, on many days you won't feel like it. There will be days when the effort feels overwhelming, and your motivation will be nowhere to be found. But this is where discipline steps in. It's on those days that your dedication to your long-term goals will either propel you forward or leave you stuck. Consistency in action, even on the hard days, is what builds momentum and brings results. To discipline your actions, you must first create a solid plan that's non-negotiable. Your plan becomes the framework for your success. When you have a clear structure in place, you don't need to rely on motivation to get things done. Motivation is fleeting. On the days when you feel great, motivation will carry you, but when you're exhausted, overwhelmed, or simply not in the mood, that's when the plan must carry you through. Your plan should include daily, actionable steps that will move you forward even on the hardest days. When you wake up in the morning, your plan should already be in place, so you don't have to waste time deciding what to do next. You simply follow through. By having a clear structure, you eliminate the need to rely on how you feel. Your actions become automatic. When you discipline your actions, you also set boundaries with yourself. These boundaries create a sense of accountability. For example, if you've committed to a daily workout, the boundary is that you will work out no matter what. If you've set a goal to read every morning, the boundary is that you will read, whether you feel motivated or not. Boundaries provide structure, but they also help you build a habit that no longer requires motivation. Discipline is the muscle that turns these boundaries into consistent habits. On the path to discipline, it's vital to recognize that the pain of doing the work in the moment is temporary, but the rewards of consistent action are long-lasting. Every time you follow through on a task that you didn't feel like doing, you reinforce the habit of discipline. You start to build resilience against the urge to procrastinate, and you train your mind to associate the discomfort of action with long-term satisfaction. The satisfaction doesn't come from avoiding discomfort, it comes from pushing through it. Discipline requires a deep understanding of delayed gratification. Our modern world is filled with distractions that provide instant pleasure, scrolling through social media, watching TV, eating junk food, or indulging in other quick-fix activities. These instant gratifications are easy and require minimal effort, but they don't contribute to our long-term goals. Discipline, on the other hand, is the practice of doing the hard work now so that you can reap the rewards later. It's about sacrificing immediate comfort for future success. While it may feel better to give in to the urge to quit, to rest when you're tired, or to procrastinate, the true reward lies in the long-term results of consistent, disciplined action. One of the most powerful ways to strengthen your discipline is through a concept known as activation energy. This is the energy it takes to get started when you don't feel like it. Often, the hardest part is simply taking the first step. Once you start, the momentum takes over, and the task becomes easier. That initial push to begin is where the battle is won. When you discipline yourself to get started, even when it feels like the hardest thing to do, you break through the inertia of procrastination and set yourself on the path to completion. The key is to understand that the discomfort of starting is always temporary, but the satisfaction of finishing is lasting. Another element of discipline is resilience, the ability to keep going when things don't go as planned. There will be times when you fail, when you fall off track, or when you don't perform at your best. In those moments, the temptation is to give up, to throw in the towel and tell yourself that maybe you're just not cut out for this. But discipline is about staying in the game, regardless of the setbacks. It's about getting back up, reassessing, and moving forward. When you discipline yourself to continue in the face of challenges, you demonstrate mental toughness and an unwavering commitment to your goals. It's not about never falling, it's about getting back up each time you do. One way to build discipline is by starting small. Small actions can gradually build into larger habits. Instead of committing to a major change all at once, break it down into manageable steps. If you want to start waking up earlier, begin by setting your alarm just 15 minutes earlier than usual. Once you've mastered that, increase the time gradually. Small, consistent actions compound over time, and before long the small habit will become a permanent part of your routine. This gradual approach makes discipline feel more achievable and sustainable. When you learn to discipline your actions, you not only create a habit of consistency, but you also build trust with yourself. Every time you follow through on something you didn't feel like doing, you prove to yourself that you can be relied upon. This self-trust creates a positive feedback loop. The more disciplined you become, the more confident you feel in your ability to accomplish your goals regardless of how you feel. This builds momentum that carries you forward and strengthens your belief in your own capabilities. In the end, the practice of disciplining your actions is a transformative process. It's about recognizing that you are not defined by how you feel in any given moment, but by your ability to act in alignment with your long-term vision. By disciplining your actions, no matter how you feel, you take control of your life. You decide that the pursuit of your goals is more important than fleeting emotions. The strength of your discipline becomes the cornerstone of your success, pushing you past obstacles, past discomfort, and into the results that you deserve.
Chapter 14. Respect your time like it decides your future. Time is one of the most precious and irreplaceable resources we have. The way you manage your time, how you use each moment, and the decisions you make on a daily basis will shape your future in ways you may not even fully realize. It's easy to take time for granted, to assume there will always be more of it. But time doesn't wait for anyone. It moves forward relentlessly, and once it's gone forever. If you want to create a life of purpose, success, and fulfillment, you must begin by respecting your time, as if it were the key to your future. Because, in many ways, it truly is. When you fail to respect your time, you make a dangerous trade. You exchange your future for the temporary distractions of the present. We all have moments where we indulge in time-wasting activities. Maybe it's scrolling through social media for hours, watching another episode of a TV series, or putting off important tasks in favor of something that feels easier. These moments of indulgence are often innocent enough in the moment, but if left unchecked, they add up. Each day you waste, each hour you spend on distractions, is an hour you could have spent building the future you desire. Respecting your time means understanding that every decision you make today will compound over time, either positively or negatively. Each action you take either moves you closer to your goals or pushes you further away. It's essential to become aware of how you spend your time, how you prioritize your activities, and how you align your daily habits with the life you want to create. The choices you make today are the foundation upon which your future is built. Imagine your future self looking back at you from a year, 5 years, or 10 years down the road. Will they thank you for the work you've put in? Will they be grateful for the wise decisions you made, the sacrifices you endured, and the time you spent building a meaningful life? Or will they be disappointed, wishing that you had spent more time on what really mattered and less time on the distractions that seemed urgent but were ultimately irrelevant? Your future self depends on what you do today. It's a simple but powerful realization. One of the most important steps in respecting your time is learning how to say no. We live in a world filled with endless distractions and opportunities to waste time. People will ask for your attention, your help, and your energy. Social media will pull you in with its endless scroll, and entertainment will always be readily available. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your goals or values, you're saying no to something more important. Learning to say no is one of the most powerful ways to take control of your time. It's about understanding that you only have a finite amount of energy and that you must allocate it wisely. Saying no isn't always easy.
It requires discipline and the courage to prioritize your future over the temporary satisfaction of distractions. But once you start saying no to the things that don't serve you, you create space for the things that truly matter. This means saying no to time wasters, to unnecessary commitments, and to anything that doesn't align with your vision for your life. When you say no, you make a clear declaration to yourself that you respect your time and that you value your future more than the fleeting pleasures of the present. To truly respect your time, you must also learn to focus. Our world is filled with distractions, many of which seem harmless but can pull us off course if we're not careful. Every time you check your phone, get lost in a conversation that doesn't move you forward, or allow your attention to wander, you're losing precious moments that could have been spent on more meaningful activities. In the modern age, the ability to focus is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. Focus is the opposite of distraction. It's the ability to pour your energy into a single task, to give it your full attention, and to see it through to completion. By developing the ability to focus, you multiply the value of your time. Instead of spreading yourself thin across a multitude of activities, you channel your energy into what matters most. Respecting your time also means creating intentional boundaries. Boundaries are the limits you set for yourself and others in order to protect your time and your energy. Without boundaries, it's easy to let others take up your time, to overcommit, or to allow distractions to hijack your day. Boundaries help you stay focused on your priorities and ensure that you aren't wasting time on things that don't align with your goals. When you establish clear boundaries, you protect your time from being drained by the demands of others and by the pressures of modern life. This is not about being selfish, it's about being strategic. You're not saying no to others, you're saying yes to yourself, your goals, and your future. One of the most effective ways to respect your time is by planning and scheduling. Planning isn't just about having a to-do list, it's about intentionally carving out time for the things that matter most. When you plan your day, your week, and your month with intention, you take control of your time instead of letting it slip away. Scheduling your activities in advance ensures that you're making progress on your goals every single day. It also allows you to balance your work, your personal life, and your self-care so that no aspect of your life is neglected. A well-structured schedule helps you maintain focus and discipline, and it ensures that you are moving forward on the path toward your future. Of course, planning doesn't mean you should rigidly stick to a schedule without room for flexibility. Life is unpredictable, and things won't always go according to plan. But when you have a clear plan in place, you're better equipped to handle the unexpected. You can make adjustments while still staying focused on the big picture. The key is to remain adaptable while respecting the structure you've created for yourself. Flexibility allows you to make the most of your time, even when things don't go as expected. In addition to planning, it's essential to evaluate how you're spending your time. Are you spending time on activities that align with your goals? Are there areas of your life where you're wasting time or being inefficient? Regularly assessing how you use your time allows you to make adjustments and optimize your daily routines. Time evaluation is an ongoing process that helps you stay on track and ensures that you're consistently moving closer to your goals. The more aware you become of how you spend your time, the better you can manage it and make the most of it. Another crucial aspect of respecting your time is understanding the power of habits. Habits shape how you spend your time, and they can either support your goals or hinder them. When you develop productive, positive habits, you create systems that automatically move you forward. Habits like waking up early, exercising regularly, reading, or planning your day can save you time and increase your productivity. Conversely,
Negative habits like procrastination, excessive social media use, or poor time management can drain your time and hold you back. By consciously building habits that support your goals, you ensure that you're investing your time in the right activities. Every small habit you build is a building block in the structure of your future. It's also important to recognize that time isn't just about work and productivity. Rest and relaxation are also vital components of respecting your time. Taking time to recharge is essential for maintaining your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Burnout is real, and without proper rest, your productivity and focus will diminish. Respecting your time means understanding when to push forward and when to step back. By balancing work and rest, you ensure that your time is spent in a way that serves your long-term success and well-being. At the end of the day, respecting your time is about treating it with the reverence it deserves. Every moment is an opportunity to move closer to your goals, to create the life you want, and to become the person you want to be. When you value your time and use it wisely, you set yourself up for success in all areas of your life. The way you spend your time today will determine where you are tomorrow. Your future depends on how you use this invaluable resource now. So, take a step back, evaluate how you're spending your time, and make the necessary adjustments. Remember, time waits for no one. It's up to you to decide how to use it. Respect your time like it decides your future, because it does.
Chapter 15. Surround yourself with people who demand growth. The people you surround yourself with have an immense influence on your life. They shape your mindset, challenge your beliefs, and push you toward your goals or pull you away from them. Some people lift you up, while others bring you down. To truly grow, you must surround yourself with individuals who demand growth, not just from themselves, but from those around them as well. These are the people who expect greatness, hold themselves accountable, and never settle for mediocrity. Their presence in your life acts as a catalyst for your own development, pushing you beyond your comfort zones and toward new heights. It's easy to fall into the trap of being surrounded by people who are content with the status quo, people who are comfortable in their routines, and those who don't question the path they're on. It's comfortable to be in a circle where no one challenges your limitations or encourages you to aim higher. But comfort is the enemy of growth. If the people around you don't demand growth, they will slowly allow you to stagnate. They will reinforce your limiting beliefs, perpetuate your bad habits, and keep you stuck in the same place, day after day. You need to step away from these environments and find those who push you to grow. When you surround yourself with people who demand growth, you begin to see life differently. These are the individuals who encourage you to keep going when you want to quit. They hold you accountable to your commitments, remind you of your potential, and help you overcome the obstacles that stand in your way. They challenge you to become the best version of yourself, and they do so with love and respect. The people who demand growth from you are the ones who refuse to let you settle for anything less than your best. One of the greatest advantages of surrounding yourself with people who demand growth is the power of positive peer pressure. When you see those around you striving to improve, it creates a sense of urgency within you. You realize that if they can do it, so can you. You begin to push yourself harder because you don't want to be left behind. This type of environment creates a culture of constant improvement. Everyone is focused on becoming better, and no one is content with stagnation. This environment breeds excellence and makes you want to rise to the occasion. However, it's important to recognize that not all growth is comfortable. Growth requires effort, sacrifice, and sometimes even failure. The people who demand growth from you understand this, and they don't let you shy away from the difficult work that is necessary for improvement. They will push you to show up even when you're tired, to take risks even when you're afraid, and to keep going even when the road gets tough. This is not a group of people who will tolerate excuses or let you off the hook. They expect you to rise to the challenge, and they will hold you accountable if you don't. In addition to demanding growth, the people you surround yourself with should also inspire you. Inspiration is not about admiration from a distance. It's about seeing someone who embodies the qualities you want to cultivate in yourself. When you are in the presence of people who inspire you, you become more motivated to do the work required to achieve your own goals. They serve as a mirror, reflecting back to you the potential that exists within yourself. Their success becomes a reminder that you are capable of achieving great things too, if you are willing to put in the effort and make the necessary sacrifices. You don't need to be surrounded by people who are necessarily better than you in every way, but you must be in the company of people who are better in the areas that matter most to you. These are the people who challenge you to rise above your limitations and who hold a mirror up to your weaknesses, forcing you to confront them. They don't let you get away with excuses, and they won't allow you to remain comfortable with where you are. They demand progress, and their presence in your life will inspire you to strive for more. However, it's also essential to understand that surrounding yourself with people who demand growth doesn't mean surrounding yourself with toxic perfectionists. It's important to find people who push you but also support you when things don't go as planned. The growth you're after is not just about external achievements, it's about developing the mindset and resilience to overcome setbacks and keep moving forward. The right people will understand this and will help you stay grounded, even when things get tough. They will be your cheerleaders when you need them most, helping you stay focused on the bigger picture and reminding you that failure is just a part of the process. The people who demand growth in your life will also encourage you to step outside of your comfort zone. They won't let you settle for mediocrity because they know that true growth happens when you take risks and challenge yourself. Stepping outside of your comfort zone is not easy, and it often feels uncomfortable, but it is in these moments of discomfort that the most growth occurs. When you're pushed to do things that you're not used to take on challenges that seem insurmountable, you tap into a strength and potential you never knew you had. The people who demand growth will encourage you to take these risks, to embrace the unknown, and to trust yourself in the process. You should also be mindful of the fact that the people who demand growth from you should not be the only source of motivation in your life. While their influence is powerful, you must also cultivate your own internal motivation. The people around you can challenge you, support you, and push you, but ultimately the responsibility for your growth lies within you. You are the one who must take the necessary actions, make the decisions, and put in the work. Surrounding yourself with the right people will help you stay on track, but it's up to you to do the work that will lead to real transformation. Another key aspect of surrounding yourself with people who demand growth is the importance of building a network of like-minded individuals. Growth is not a solitary pursuit, it's about building relationships with others who share your values and aspirations. When you surround yourself with a community of people who are all striving for excellence in their own lives, the collective energy becomes contagious. This energy fuels you, encourages you, and drives you to keep pushing forward. A strong, supportive network can make all the difference in your journey to success, as it provides you with both accountability and inspiration. It's also important to remember that not everyone in your life will be able to push you to grow in the same way. Some people are meant to be your friends, others your mentors, and others your peers. Each relationship serves a different purpose in your life. It's essential to understand the role of each person in your growth journey and to lean on them for what they offer. Your friends may provide you with emotional support and encouragement. Your mentors will offer you guidance and wisdom, and your peers will challenge you to keep going when you feel like giving up. By recognizing the unique contributions of each person in your life, you can better leverage their influence to fuel your own growth. Ultimately, the people who demand growth from you are the ones who will make the biggest impact on your life. They will inspire you, challenge you, and hold you accountable in ways that push you beyond your limits. They will be your partners in the journey of self-improvement, helping you navigate obstacles and celebrate victories along the way. By surrounding yourself with these individuals, you create an environment that fosters growth, progress, and transformation. You will be amazed at how much you can achieve when you are surrounded by people who demand greatness from themselves and from you.
Chapter 16. Stay calm and think clearly under all pressure. Life has a way of throwing pressure our way, whether it's a demanding job, a personal crisis, or an unexpected challenge. In these moments, it's easy to become overwhelmed. We start to panic, make rash decisions, or lose our composure entirely. But the true measure of strength and resilience lies in the ability to stay calm, no matter the situation. When you can maintain your composure under pressure, you give yourself the best chance to think clearly, make smart decisions, and act in a way that serves your long-term goals. The first step in staying calm under pressure is to understand that pressure is a part of life. It's not something to fear or avoid. It's something that will inevitably come, and how you handle it defines your success. Instead of trying to eliminate pressure, you must learn to embrace it, see it as an opportunity for growth, and recognize that it can be your ally if you respond to it with the right mindset. When we feel pressure building, our bodies naturally react. Our heart rate increases, our breathing becomes shallow, and our minds can go into overdrive, replaying all the worst-case scenarios. This physiological response is a survival mechanism, one that has kept us alive for millennia. However, in modern life, it often works against us. Instead of running from a physical threat, we are simply facing a deadline, a difficult conversation, or a high-stakes decision. When we let these automatic responses take over, we lose our ability to think clearly and rationally. The key to overcoming this is learning to manage your physiological response. Deep breathing is one of the most effective tools for calming yourself down. When you focus on your breath, you shift your attention away from the chaos in your mind and back to the present moment. Slow, deep breaths help activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which counters the fight or flight response and brings your body back to a state of calm. This is not just a technique for managing stress in the moment. It's a skill you can practice every day. The more you practice controlling your breath, the easier it becomes to remain composed in high-pressure situations. Once you've learned to calm your body, it's time to focus on your mind. The thoughts that flood your mind when pressure mounts can be overwhelming. They often involve fear, self-doubt, and worst-case scenarios. It's essential to understand that these thoughts are not facts. They are simply mental reactions to the stress you're experiencing. When you acknowledge that your thoughts are not always grounded in reality, you create the space to challenge them. One of the most effective ways to manage your thoughts under pressure is by practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness is the art of being present and fully engaged in the current moment without judgment. In moments of pressure, your mind will likely race, but if you can bring yourself back to the here and now, you can gain clarity. Instead of letting your thoughts spiral into what-ifs and worst-case scenarios, focus on what is happening right in front of you. What is the most immediate task at hand? What is the next step you can take? By grounding yourself in the present, you prevent yourself from becoming consumed by unnecessary anxiety and can approach the situation with a clearer, calmer mind. Another key aspect of staying calm under pressure is managing your emotions.
When we face pressure, it's easy to become reactive, letting anger, frustration, or fear control our actions. These emotional responses can cloud our judgment and cause us to act impulsively, often in ways we later regret. Instead of reacting emotionally, try to respond logically. Take a moment to pause, assess the situation, and determine the best course of action. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or ignoring them. It means acknowledging them without letting them dictate your behavior. By taking a step back and gaining control of your emotions, you gain the power to make decisions based on logic and reason, not on impulse. Another way to remain calm under pressure is by focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you cannot. We often waste energy and time worrying about factors outside of our control, which only increases our stress levels. When you're faced with a difficult situation, take a moment to assess what is within your power to change. What actions can you take? What decisions can you make? Focus your energy on these things and accept that other factors are beyond your control. This shift in mindset will not only reduce your stress, but also empower you to take decisive action. When you are under pressure, it's easy to get lost in the enormity of the situation. You may feel as though everything is riding on this one moment, which can lead to a sense of panic. To counteract this, break down the situation into smaller, more manageable pieces. Instead of thinking, "I have to handle all of this at once," focus on the immediate task at hand. What's the next step you need to take? Focus on executing that step to the best of your ability. By breaking down a large, overwhelming problem into smaller tasks, you make the situation more manageable and less intimidating. A powerful tool in staying calm under pressure is maintaining perspective. When we are under stress, we often lose sight of the bigger picture. We become fixated on the immediate issue, forgetting that it is just one small part of our overall journey. When you can take a step back and remind yourself that this moment of pressure is temporary, it becomes easier to keep your emotions in check and make rational decisions. Remember that no single moment defines your life, and no pressure-filled situation is permanent. Keeping this perspective allows you to see the situation for what it truly is, just another challenge to overcome, not a catastrophe. Developing the ability to stay calm under pressure also requires self-awareness. The more you understand your own triggers and stress responses, the better equipped you are to manage them. Spend time reflecting on past experiences when you felt pressured. What caused you to lose your composure? How did you react? And what were the results? Understanding your patterns of behavior allows you to prepare yourself for future pressure-filled situations. You can anticipate how you might feel and practice techniques like deep breathing or focusing on the present moment that will help you stay grounded when pressure mounts. Over time, you will notice that your ability to stay calm under pressure improves. Just like any skill, the more you practice, the better you become. As you encounter stressful situations and successfully navigate them, you build resilience and confidence. You begin to realize that you can handle whatever life throws your way. The pressure no longer feels like a threat to your well-being. It becomes a challenge to rise above, to show what you're capable of, and to demonstrate the strength and composure you've cultivated through practice. Ultimately, the key to staying calm under pressure is recognizing that you are in control of your response. You can't always control the external circumstances, but you can control how you react to them. By learning to manage your thoughts, emotions, and physical responses, you can maintain clarity and make decisions that serve your best interests. When you stay calm under pressure, you give yourself the space to think clearly, act with purpose, and move forward with confidence, no matter what challenges arise. Chapter 17. Forgive yourself and start again with strength. Forgiveness is a powerful act. It holds the potential to free us from the chains of our past mistakes, allowing us to move forward with strength and purpose. But often, the hardest person to forgive is ourselves. We can be our own harshest critics, holding on to guilt, regret, and the weight of missed opportunities or past failures. We berate ourselves for not having done better, for not having made the right choice at the right time, or for simply not living up to our own expectations. But here's the truth. The mistakes you've made are not who you are. They do not define you. In fact, they are the very things that can help shape you into the person you're meant to become. Forgiveness is not about dismissing your mistakes or pretending they never happened. It's about acknowledging them, learning from them, and then letting them go. Forgiving yourself is about allowing space for growth, for change, and for the opportunity to begin again. Every person at some point will face failure, whether it's a personal setback, a professional challenge, or simply falling short of the expectations you set for yourself. It's an inevitable part of life. Failure is not something to fear. In fact, failure can be one of the most powerful tools for growth. It's through our failures that we learn the most about ourselves. But for this learning to take place, we must first let go of the shame and guilt that often accompany those failures. So, how do you forgive yourself? The first step is acknowledging that you are human. You are not perfect, and you were never meant to be. Perfection is an illusion, and the pursuit of it can often lead to unnecessary self-doubt and frustration. Embrace your imperfections, because it is through those imperfections that you will discover your true strength. When you recognize that it's okay to make mistakes, you create the space for personal growth. Self-forgiveness starts with self-awareness. You need to look at your actions and reflect on why you did what you did. This isn't about blaming yourself or rehashing your mistakes repeatedly. It's about understanding why certain choices were made and what you can learn from them. Maybe you didn't handle a situation well because of fear, insecurity, or lack of experience. Maybe you didn't speak up because you were worried about what others would think. Whatever the reason, it's important to recognize that those reasons don't make you a bad person. They make you human. And acknowledging that humanity is the first step toward healing. Once you've understood why you made the choices you did, it's time to let go of the guilt and shame. These emotions are often linked to a sense of worthlessness or inadequacy. But your worth is not determined by your mistakes. It's not determined by what you did wrong. Your worth is inherent. It's something that can never be taken away. Guilt and shame only serve to keep you stuck in the past. They prevent you from moving forward and growing. To forgive yourself, you must release these emotions. You must accept that you made a mistake, learn from it, and then free yourself from the burden it places on you. Forgiving yourself also means letting go of the narrative that you are somehow damaged or irreparable because of your mistakes. Too often, we allow our past failures to shape our present identity. We tell ourselves stories like, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never be able to change." These stories are limiting and false. You are not defined by your mistakes. You are not the sum of your failures. You are the person who chooses to learn from them, to rise above them, and to keep moving forward. When you forgive yourself, you create an opportunity to begin again. But this is not a return to the same place you were before. Forgiveness is not about going back to how things were. It's about moving forward with new insight, wisdom, and strength. Every mistake you make is an opportunity to become a better, wiser, more resilient version of yourself. Forgiving yourself is about accepting that you will make mistakes along the way, and that this is okay. It's part of the process. What matters is how you handle those mistakes and how you learn from them. One of the most powerful ways to reinforce self-forgiveness is by taking action. It's easy to get caught in a cycle of self-doubt and regret, but the best way to move past those feelings is to start making positive changes. This doesn't mean you need to fix everything immediately or do something grand to make up for your mistakes. Sometimes it's about small, consistent actions that show you are committed to learning, growing, and becoming better. When you take action in alignment with your values, you shift the narrative from one of regret to one of possibility. You begin to demonstrate to yourself that you are capable of change and growth. Forgiving yourself also requires patience. It's not an instant process. Sometimes the guilt and shame we carry run deep, and it takes time to fully release them. But with each day that passes, you become more and more aware of your own worth and your ability to create change. The journey to self-forgiveness is a process of self-discovery, and it's okay to take it one step at a time. Every time you choose to let go of regret and move forward, you are strengthening your resilience. You are building the mental and emotional fortitude needed to face the challenges ahead with strength and courage. In the midst of self-forgiveness, it's important to cultivate self-compassion. Be kind to yourself, just as you would be kind to a friend who was going through a tough time. We often treat others with more compassion than we treat ourselves, but we deserve the same kindness. When you practice self-compassion, you allow yourself to make mistakes without judgment. You give yourself permission to be imperfect, to learn, and to grow, and most importantly, you forgive yourself for the mistakes that are part of the human experience. As you move forward, remember that forgiveness is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing practice. You will encounter situations where you falter, where you make mistakes again. But this is not a reason to be hard on yourself. It's a reminder that you are still human, still learning, still growing. With each mistake, you have the chance to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The key is to continue forgiving yourself, to continue learning, and to continue taking action toward the person you want to become. In the end, forgiveness is the gift you give yourself. It's the gift of freedom, the freedom to move forward without the weight of your past holding you back. When you forgive yourself, you let go of regret and self-doubt, and you give yourself the space to grow. You allow yourself to start again, not from a place of shame or guilt, but from a place of strength and possibility. So forgive yourself, learn from your mistakes, and rise stronger than ever before. Chapter 18. Simplify your life to increase your daily focus. In a world that demands more of our attention than ever before, simplicity has become an increasingly powerful tool for success. Complexity surrounds us, and the constant flow of information, tasks, and distractions can quickly overwhelm our minds and detract from our ability to focus. Yet, within this chaos lies a hidden truth. When you simplify your life, you free up mental energy that can be devoted to what truly matters. By cutting away the unnecessary, you allow yourself the space to focus on your goals, your growth, and the life you want to create. At its core, simplifying your life means making deliberate choices to reduce complexity, both externally and internally. It's about shedding the excess, the distractions, the obligations, the clutter, and the mental noise that weighs you down. Simplification doesn't mean abandoning ambition or retreating into minimalism for the sake of simplicity. It's about being intentional with where you place your time, energy, and attention. It's about eliminating the distractions that prevent you from channeling your focus where it counts the most. The first step in simplifying your life is identifying where you're spending your energy. Many people are unknowingly scattered across 100 different pursuits, commitments, and responsibilities. They try to juggle everything all at once, and in the process, they end up doing nothing with full focus. If your attention is divided into countless areas, your results will be equally divided. The key is to recognize where your energy is being wasted and take steps to pull back from those areas. This is not about saying no to everything, but choosing to say yes only to the things that truly matter. Begin by looking at your daily habits. How much of your day is consumed by tasks that don't contribute to your goals or growth? How many hours are spent scrolling through social media, responding to unnecessary emails, or attending meetings that could easily be avoided? We often fill our time with activities that seem important in the moment, but in reality they distract us from the tasks that will propel us forward. To regain focus, you need to start trimming away the superfluous. One of the most effective ways to simplify your life is through the process of decluttering, both physically and mentally. A cluttered environment can create a cluttered mind. When your surroundings are chaotic, it's difficult to concentrate on what's truly important. Take time to remove physical clutter from your space, clear your desk, organize your belongings, and create an environment that promotes focus and calm. The process of decluttering your physical space can help clear your mental space as well. When you feel organized in your environment, your mind becomes less scattered and more able to focus on the tasks at hand. Mental clutter is just as important to address. Your thoughts, worries, and anxieties can easily overwhelm your mind and cloud your focus. In our fast-paced world, we're constantly bombarded with thoughts, sometimes random, sometimes repetitive, that pull our attention in 1,000 different directions. To simplify your life, you must learn to manage your mental energy. This could mean taking moments each day to meditate, reflect, or simply breathe deeply and clear your mind. Practice mindfulness to help quiet the noise and center yourself. By training your mind to focus on the present moment, you stop allowing your thoughts to control you. Another key aspect of simplification is managing your commitments. We live in a society that often praises busyness, but being busy doesn't always mean being productive. In fact, the more commitments you take on, the less time you have to focus on what truly matters. Simplifying your life requires being selective about your commitments. Choose to invest your time in activities that align with your values and long-term goals. Don't be afraid to say no to requests or opportunities that don't serve your greater purpose. Saying no is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength and clarity. It's the ability to guard your time and energy and protect your focus from being pulled in too many directions. In order to simplify your life, you must also learn to prioritize. We all have limited time and resources, and it's crucial to use them wisely. Look at your daily schedule and assess where you can make adjustments to focus on what's most important. Are there tasks that can be eliminated or delegated? Are there activities you can do more efficiently? By prioritizing what truly matters, you create space for the things that will drive your success and personal growth. Simplification is not just about cutting back, it's about creating the conditions for greater focus and deeper impact. The art of simplification also extends to your relationships. Not all relationships are equally valuable. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you, and help you grow. Avoid relationships that drain your energy or distract you from your goals. When you remove toxic or unproductive relationships from your life, you open the door for more meaningful connections. These relationships will provide you with the support, encouragement, and accountability necessary to stay focused on your path. Simplification is also about honing your habits. The more habitual and automatic your positive actions become, the less mental energy you need to devote to them. Creating a daily routine that supports your goals can help you stay focused without having to make constant decisions throughout the day. A well-structured routine can eliminate the decision fatigue that often leads to distraction. When you have a clear routine that aligns with your priorities, you remove the need for constant re-evaluation. This allows you to focus on what truly matters, without getting sidetracked by the noise around you. It's also crucial to recognize that simplifying your life requires a mindset shift. Many people are conditioned to believe that more is better, more possessions, more achievements, more tasks. But in reality, it's the opposite that leads to success. The more you simplify your life, the more you create space for focus, creativity, and personal growth. When you allow yourself the freedom to let go of the unnecessary, you open up the capacity for greatness. Simplification is not about limiting yourself, it's about maximizing your potential by focusing on what matters most. Your energy is a finite resource, and every decision you make either directs it toward your goals or drains it. Simplifying your life allows you to conserve your energy for what truly matters. It helps you stop wasting time on trivialities and distractions, and instead channels that energy toward your personal and professional success. When your life is simplified, you eliminate the noise and create a clear path forward, one that is driven by purpose and focus. The journey of simplification is not always easy, especially in a world that constantly pushes us to do more and have more. But when you start stripping away the excess, you'll begin to see how much more you can accomplish with less. You'll realize that the clutter, distractions, and complexity that you once thought were necessary were actually hindering your progress. By simplifying your life, you remove the obstacles that stand between you and your goals. You clear the path for greater focus, greater productivity, and greater fulfillment. Take the first step today. Look around you and identify where you can simplify. Declutter your physical space, clear your mental space, and prioritize the things that truly matter. Make conscious choices to eliminate distractions, manage your commitments, and build habits that support your focus. As you simplify, you'll find that your mind becomes clearer, your energy becomes more directed, and your results become more impactful. Simplifying your life is not just a strategy for increasing focus, it's a strategy for living a more meaningful, intentional, and fulfilling life.
Chapter 19. Set clear goals and chase them without excuses. Setting clear goals and chasing them without excuses is the cornerstone of achieving anything meaningful in life. You see, goals are not just milestones, they are the roadmap to your future. Without them, you're wandering aimlessly, at the mercy of whatever comes your way. However, many people set goals without a real sense of commitment, often allowing excuses and distractions to prevent them from moving forward. The real power comes when you set goals with unwavering clarity and pursue them relentlessly, with no room for excuses or delays. The first step to achieving anything significant in life is to set a goal that truly resonates with you. Too often, people set goals that are either too vague or driven by external pressures, things they think they should want, rather than things they genuinely desire. But when you set goals that are deeply connected to your values and vision, something remarkable happens. You gain the energy, the clarity, and the drive to pursue them with purpose. It's not just about the destination, it's about the journey.
The pursuit of your goals becomes a way of life, a constant challenge that pushes you to grow, evolve, and stretch beyond your limits. Clarity is key. If you want to achieve something, you need to know exactly what it is. A vague goal like "I want to be successful" is not specific enough to guide your actions. Instead, break that down into tangible steps. What does success look like to you? Is it financial freedom, a healthier lifestyle, a promotion? When you define your goal with precision, it becomes easier to identify the actions required to achieve it. The clearer your goal, the clearer your path forward. You begin to understand the steps you need to take, and you're able to set deadlines and benchmarks along the way that keep you on track. Setting clear goals also means breaking them down into smaller, manageable tasks. It's easy to get overwhelmed when you look at a large goal from the top down. For example, saying "I want to lose 50 pounds" can feel daunting and insurmountable. But when you break that down into smaller, actionable steps, like exercising for 30 minutes a day, making healthier food choices, tracking your calories, you begin to see a clearer path to success. Each small step becomes a building block that takes you closer to your goal. You start to feel a sense of progress and achievement, which builds momentum and keeps you moving forward. Equally important is the need to eliminate excuses. Excuses are the silent killers of dreams. They creep in and convince you that it's okay to delay, to procrastinate, to put things off until tomorrow. Excuses are never valid reasons for not pursuing your goals. They're convenient ways to avoid discomfort or failure, but in reality, the very discomfort you seek to avoid is what you must embrace if you want to grow. Every successful person, every individual who has achieved greatness, has faced challenges, setbacks, and obstacles. But what separates them from those who never reach their full potential is their refusal to give in to excuses. Excuses are often rooted in fear, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. These fears will always try to hold you back, but it's crucial that you understand that they are not truth. Fear is simply a feeling. It's a natural reaction to stepping outside of your comfort zone, but it doesn't define you, and it shouldn't control your actions. When you make a commitment to yourself to chase your goals with everything you've got, you will encounter fear. You will encounter self-doubt. But it's how you respond to these fears that will determine whether you succeed or not. One of the most common excuses people make is the lack of time. "I'm too busy to work on my goals." But if you truly want something, you will find time for it. Time is a resource that we all have in equal measure. The difference lies in how we choose to spend it. If you want to accomplish something, you need to carve out time in your day for it. It doesn't matter if you're busy with work, family, or social commitments. If your goal is important to you, you will make time. You will wake up earlier, you will cut out unnecessary distractions, and you will prioritize the actions that bring you closer to your goal. The question is not whether you have enough time, but whether you are using your time wisely. Another excuse is the fear of failure. Many people avoid setting ambitious goals because they fear they will fall short. But failure is not something to be feared. It's something to be embraced as a natural part of the learning process. When you fail, you gain invaluable lessons that move you closer to your goal. Failure teaches you what works and what doesn't. It helps you build resilience and persistence, two qualities that are essential for long-term success. The key is not to avoid failure, but to fail forward. Use each setback as an opportunity to adjust your approach and keep moving toward your goal. It's also important to understand that there will be times when you're not motivated. Motivation is a fleeting feeling. It comes and goes. If you rely solely on motivation to drive you, you'll be inconsistent at best. But discipline is what will keep you moving forward when motivation fades. Discipline is about doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. It's about creating habits that support your goals, even on days when the excitement is gone. It's the commitment to show up every day, regardless of how you feel, that separates those who succeed from those who don't. The process of chasing your goals requires consistent effort. Each day is an opportunity to take one more step in the direction of your dreams. Progress doesn't happen overnight, but it's made in small increments, often over a long period of time. The key is to stay committed, even when the progress feels slow. It's easy to become discouraged when you don't see immediate results, but success is built over time. The small actions you take today compound over days, weeks, and months. By the time you look back, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. One of the most powerful strategies for eliminating excuses is to hold yourself accountable. Accountability is the act of taking full responsibility for your actions. It means not blaming others, circumstances, or the environment for your lack of progress. If something goes wrong, you own it. And when you succeed, you celebrate your efforts. Accountability forces you to show up, even when you don't feel like it. It pushes you to keep going, even when obstacles arise. You can hold yourself accountable by tracking your progress, setting regular check-ins, or sharing your goals with others who will encourage and challenge you. Accountability also means surrounding yourself with people who support your growth and hold you to a higher standard. Seek out mentors, coaches, or like-minded individuals who can guide you along the way. These people will help you stay on track, give you advice when you need it, and push you to keep going, especially when you're tempted to make excuses. Having a support system is critical for success. They will provide the encouragement you need when times get tough, and they will celebrate with you when you reach your goals. Ultimately, success is not about waiting for the perfect moment to begin, or for conditions to be ideal. It's about making the decision to act now, to take consistent, focused steps toward your goals, and to keep pushing forward regardless of the obstacles you face. There will always be reasons to delay, to put things off, to make excuses, but the most successful people are those who make a habit of chasing their goals relentlessly. They don't let anything stand in their way. They don't allow excuses to derail their progress. And they don't stop until they've achieved what they set out to do. If you want to achieve your goals, you must adopt the same mindset. Chase your goals without excuses, and you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish. Chapter 20. End each day with effort, peace, and gratitude. At the end of each day, we all have the opportunity to take a moment and reflect. How we close our day can have a profound impact on our mental and emotional state. The way we conclude our day shapes how we wake up and begin the next. If we finish our day in a rush, with unresolved thoughts and worries, we often start the next day with the same chaotic energy. But if we make a conscious effort to end the day with intention, peace, and gratitude, we set ourselves up for a better tomorrow. This approach can change the trajectory of our lives. Effort is the first element to reflect on. Effort is not just about the physical exertion we put into our tasks, but the emotional and mental effort we apply to everything we do. Every action we take, no matter how small, requires some level of effort. It's easy to think that effort only counts during the big moments, the major challenges, or the moments when we are pushing ourselves to the limit. But the reality is that effort is about consistency, and how much we are willing to put into even the small, seemingly insignificant things. Effort is what creates momentum in our lives, and it's the quiet, daily choices that contribute to long-term success. As you approach the end of each day, It's important to ask yourself, did I put in the effort today? Did I give my best, even in the moments when it felt like there was no reward? Effort isn't about perfection. It's about showing up. It's about doing your best, even when it feels like you're not making progress. Effort is about staying true to the commitment you made to yourself to be the best version of yourself, day in and day out. When you can honestly answer that you put forth the effort, no matter how the day turned out, you can rest easy knowing you've done what you could. As the day winds down, it's time to cultivate peace. Our world is filled with distractions, noise, and constant demands. We are bombarded with information and notifications, and our minds are often racing with thoughts of everything we need to do. It's easy to forget to pause and find moments of quiet. But peace doesn't come on its own. It must be intentionally sought. One of the most powerful things you can do is make space for peace at the end of each day. This can look different for everyone. It may mean taking a few minutes to breathe deeply, clearing your mind of clutter, or simply sitting in silence for a moment before bed. Peace doesn't require grand gestures. It can be as simple as giving yourself permission to stop thinking about everything that still needs to be done and just existing in the moment. When you find peace at the end of the day, it allows you to reset. It clears away the tension and mental clutter that might have built up over the course of the day. Peace is about acknowledging that you have done enough for the day and that the world will keep turning, whether or not you're still working. It's about recognizing that rest is as important as action, and that sometimes the most productive thing you can do is allow yourself to pause and reset. In moments of peace, we reconnect with ourselves. We rediscover what truly matters to us. And this peace carries us into the next day, helping us to face the new challenges with a calm mind. Finally, gratitude is the key that ties everything together. It's easy to focus on what went wrong during the day, the mistakes, the setbacks, the things we didn't accomplish. But gratitude shifts our perspective. Gratitude helps us see the beauty in the process, not just the outcome. It reminds us that every day, no matter how difficult, holds something to be thankful for. Even in the most challenging days, there is always something that went well, something that we can appreciate, even if it's as simple as the opportunity to try again tomorrow. Ending the day with gratitude allows us to acknowledge the good in our lives, which helps us create a positive mindset. Gratitude helps us cultivate an abundance mentality, focusing on what we have rather than what we lack. It's easy to get trapped in negative thought patterns, especially when things don't go according to plan. But gratitude offers a way out. It helps us reframe our experiences and see the lessons in every situation. By ending the day with a moment of gratitude, we train our minds to focus on the positive, which over time rewires our brain to look for solutions rather than problems. A simple practice of gratitude can be life-changing. It doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need to write a long list of things you're thankful for. Sometimes just a few moments of reflection on the positive aspects of the day can have a profound effect. It could be as simple as acknowledging the relationships in your life, the progress you've made, or the lessons you've learned. When you approach your day with gratitude, you begin to see the world through a different lens. You become aware of all the blessings in your life, no matter how small they may seem. The more you focus on what you're grateful for, the more you will attract positivity and abundance into your life. When you end your day with effort, peace, and gratitude, you transform the way you live. Each of these elements compounds over time, creating a ripple effect that changes how you view yourself, your work, and the world around you. You become more mindful of your actions, more intentional in your choices, and more appreciative of the present moment. You'll start to notice that you wake up feeling more centered and grounded, ready to take on the new challenges of the day with a fresh perspective. And as you continue to practice this mindset, you will begin to see that the energy you put out into the world is returned to you in countless ways. Your success, your peace of mind, and your happiness don't come from constantly pushing and striving. They come from understanding the importance of rest, reflection, and gratitude. When you give yourself the time to reflect on the day's effort and express gratitude for the journey, you allow yourself to relax and recharge. This sets you up to face the next day with a renewed sense of purpose and a calm mind. Your peace is not just about what you do, but about how you choose to live in each